okay, right?
Yes, yes, doctor.
Live stream, yeah. Got it. Just got it.
Because the Zoom platform is actually, it's like a back and from the app, from the document app. So I think it's fine if they're just gonna join, like listen to
They're going to
the
join, and if they have any questions or comments, they would put
Yes.
in the YouTube this one, and then we will forward it to the speakers.
correct. So I think shouldn't be a problem.
Thanks, Fiona. Should be
Yep.
fine. Not that.
So, Prof, you want to read from there so I can.
Then we have to put on my website, but not yet. No.
Okay, yeah.
Ask them if we can
So
put
do you have any slides from your end, doctor?
Okay,
Yeah.
we have two from our side, and then we have one from Singapore. Those are the only slides I have. If you want, I can share it.
Yes. Can we try and go through the slides?
Okay, you want to go through? We have only
Just a quick run through to check on the
Nice.
page.
Okay, what shall I do now?
You just open it. Yeah?
It's open.
Okay. These are the slides. Can you just play it?
Play. Oh, okay. Okay.
Just play that.
Yeah, can.
Okay, go on. Okay.
I can't see any slides from my end. Are you sharing now?
Oh,
Wait
okay.
just a minute.
Okay, I need to share. Okay.
Yes, you need to share.
You need to, yes. Okay, nothing escape. Okay. Yeah. So where's that? Share.
Wait, just minimize this one.
Okay, minimize. Go back to this.
Yeah,
Also
go back to this page.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay, share screen.
share screen. Oh, okay.
Here.
Yeah,
No,
this
no, this one. The slide.
Oh, this slide. Huh? Okay.
This is the slide, right?
Okay,
Double
share.
click.
Okay, share.
No, double click.
Oh, double click.
Yeah.
Sorry there.
Are you able to see it?
Yes. Can you make it to the presentation mode, please?
What's your first slide? Huh? Okay.
And then play.
Okay, play. Play, yeah.
Doctor, sorry. Okay, it's in the presentation mode.
Can you see it?
Yep. Can you go to the next slide?
Next one.
All right. Next one. Is there any video in the slide?
No.
No.
No. It's just a slide.
All right, cool. All right. Just go a quick run through.
Let's go through.
All right.
So I'm not going to go through every slide. It's just that the information is there for me to refer in case I need it.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. I think it's all good from my end.
Okay, great.
You want the other slide also to be shown?
And
Yeah.
we can try. Yep.
Can try, yeah. Okay, let me see the other slide. Okay, from page 1 now. Yeah. Let me share the slide. Share slide. Okay. Okay, can you see slide now?
Yep. Can you make it to the presentation mode?
Okay, in presentation form. Can you see it now?
All right. Yes. Can we go a quick run through? Yep. Okay. It's just all slides, yeah?
Yeah, all slides from 1 to, yeah, it's around 17 slides.
All right. All good. All good, doctor.
Okay,
Can you stop sharing?
let's stop sharing now. Huh? Okay, then.
All right. I can see that Dr. Dilashini is here.
Okay.
Right.
Hi, Dr. Dila.
You should unmute them.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
It's okay. I can just stop from my end the slides. Hi, Dr. Dila. My name is Fiona, and I'm from Dr. T. So I can see that your line is a bit lagging.
Okay.
Yes. Do you have any other optional internet source?
I'm sorry, but this is the only main internet that I have right
Okay.
now. So,
Okay, it's all right.
because my phone data is much slower than this. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right. No worries. Let's say if the presentation got interrupt, you can just join in again, and I'll put some
Okay.
banner, or maybe Prof can take over to moderate for a while
Okay,
until we
no
join
problem.
back in. and we can start again on the same slide that you stopped, all right?
Okay.
Okay, before that, can we have a look on your slides?
Yeah,
Just
one moment.
just for me to check on the framing.
Minutes, I will get back here.
I couldn't also hear. So I couldn't already hear.
No,
Hi, can you hear me?
yes, but loud and clear, Dr. Bai.
Okay, great, thank you. I always worry with technology. I'm an old man, not like you young people.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's- it's on the side.
Six
All
a.m.
right, can we go to the next slide, doctor? All right, it's working fine. Do you have any video in your slide, doctor?
No, I do not have any videos.
All right, no worries. It's all good. Sorry. Okay.
Could
You may
ask Dr. Bai to share his slides as well,
Yeah. Yes.
so that we make sure that it goes
Just
seamless.
stop the slides from my end. Okay. So Dr. Vi, can you share your slide so that I can check on the
Let me just share the slides. Do you see it?
yeah.
Okay, let me try again. Share screen. Okay, share. Is that coming through?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to check the video. Can I just go down to one of the videos?
Yes, please. Is there any audio, doctor?
Yeah, it's audio and video.
Let's see. Okay, from my end, the video is a bit lagging, doctor.
Yeah, I think that's because of the bandwidth here. I'm using a public Wi-Fi. But is the audio coming through?
Yep, I can hear it.
Okay, that's fine then. All right, I'm okay then.
Okay. Can you make it to the presentation mode, please, doctor?
Sure.
Okay, all good.
Sorry, there was another video displaying on the background. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries.
So that,
Sorry, please.
okay, that's okay, right? Yeah.
Okay, just in case, doctor, because the audio is really not it's not really audible. So maybe
Really?
after you play the video, maybe you can just explain it again.
Yeah. Okay, can.
All right. Think all good. All right, I can see Dr. Elaine is here as well.
Maybe ask her to share her slides, Fiona.
Yep. Hi, Dr. Elaine.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, can you turn on your okay. Hi, okay. Can we try your slide?
Yeah. Give me a moment. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see my slide?
Not yet. Okay. Can you make it to the presentation mode? All right. Can we go quick run through it? Just checking if there's any video.
No.
Okay, all good.
Just quickly run for all the slides. No?
All right, all good, Dr. Elaine.
Okay.
Thank you. You may stop sharing. Or do you need help? Okay. All right. I think we're all set. We have about 6 minutes to live, doctor.
Right. Fiona, what, have the doctors joined in yet? Or they going to join in at 2:20 or it's only 2:24?
You mean in the Doherty app?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so far in Doherty app, we have about 103 attendees. 103.
Okay, great.
All right. So let me just a quick run through the flow, Doctor. So we'll start with your introduction, opening and introduction, and then you introduce Dr. Allen first.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then so Dr. Allen, you'll start with the presentation, and once you're done, I'll need you to stop sharing your screen.
But Dr. Allen is doing a video.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
I'll
you
play the
guys
video.
are going to play the video on your end.
Yes, that is correct. Sorry. Yes, I'm gonna play the video from my end, and then I'll cue you to start on the next speaker.
Yeah, sure.
So Dr. Elaine will be the next speaker, and then Dr. Elaine, you will need to share your screen again, and then once you're done, stop sharing, or maybe if you need help, I can just stop the slides from my end. And then you'll take over again for you to introduce Dr. Dila. And after that, the same thing. Dr. Dila, stop sharing, and then you'll take over for you to introduce Dr. Vi. And then after Dr. Vi, there will be Dr. G. Sagaran, and
Right.
followed by the Dr. Lorenzo.
Right.
Okay. So for the Q&A, if there's any questions coming in from the Doherty app, I'll paste it in the chat box here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, I think we're all set. 4 minutes to live. Stand by, everybody.
Okay.
Do you have any questions so far, doctors?
Not from my end. I think we are all set.
Okay, all good then.
Fiona,
Yes,
Fiona,
hi, Andrew.
actually the webinar starts at 2:20, so if everyone's ready, I think we can start already.
But we are a bit late. But we said we start at 2:20 so that we can finish at 5:30.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So can we start, Fiona?
Hang on, yeah.
We're already 4 minutes late, but it's okay. I can shorten my presentation.
Okay, I can. Sorry, before that, doctor, I can see that your background is I can't see you because you're at the background.
No, no, I'm not there. It's because right now I'm just asking my colleague to introduce me.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll move seats and you'll see me. Right
Oh.
now.
All right. Right, stand by. Stand by, doctor. Stand by in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. On you. You may begin.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all present here today in this great symposium. And the symposium titles as AI, Revolutionizing Healthcare, the Realities and Challenges in Malaysia. And I would like to request Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Binary University of Management and Entrepreneurship, for her introduction and carry on with the symposium. What do you, Professor Sulo?
Oh, click the button.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just take a few minutes to I won't go through all my slides. I have 40 and I've got 4 minutes. So basically, first of all, I just want to introduce, I've already been introduced.
So can you do this, please? So you can click the sign. You can just click on it. Okay.
Okay. It's not happening.
No, you look at that.
Just 1 second, we're having a slight glitch.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's one. Okay. Here. Okay. 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 Now. Prof, you can. This one? Yeah. Okay.
A binary university was established in 1984 as a premier university for management, entrepreneurship, and IT. In 2023, Binary University established the Center for Artificial Intelligence and data analytics, which we call CAIDA. And the mission of CAIDA is to advance the frontiers of AI and data analytics, while the objectives are to conduct high-impact research, etc. Why is CAIDA partnering with Doherty Malaysia? In organizing the symposium, Binary University decided to partner with Doherty Malaysia because Doherty is the largest community of doctors in Southeast Asia. And the main reason for jointly organizing the symposium is to ensure that the deliberations that we are going to have this afternoon would reach the target group, which in this case are the healthcare practitioners. And doctors registered with Doherty will get 4 CPD points. Registered will get 4 CPD points thanks to Doherty, and the others will get a certificate of participation. You can attend it by, you can either use the QR code or email me directly. My email address is there. Now, the reason why AI, why we chose the healthcare sector. The healthcare sector was chosen as the first of our conferences and symposiums, is that the healthcare sector is very vulnerable to cyber attacks and hacking. And healthcare and AI awareness is very critical for healthcare practitioners. And AI ensures that doctors remain current with the latest advancements and they can leverage new technologies to improve patient care. When I Googled and went into WhatsApp as to which sector is most prone to hacking, it is in 2024, it was obvious the healthcare sector. And how can AI awareness reduce vulnerability of the healthcare sector? The healthcare sector vulnerability can be reduced in several ways by enhanced threat detection, automated response, continuous monitoring, improved data security, education and training, compliance and regulations, and vulnerability management. Move on. Move on. Move on to slides.
Yeah, it is not moving here.
Okay.
So,
I won't go through the details of each of the slides. Can I move to the next slide, please?
yeah,
Move on.
move on. Okay.
Why is it important for us to create AI awareness in the medical fraternity? It's crucial for several reasons. The first thing is informed decision-making, improved patient care, adoption and integration, ethical and responsible use, as well as skills development. It's also important because of collaboration and innovation, and for regulatory compliance, cost efficiency, patient trust and engagement, and also for future-proofing the healthcare sector. Why is it important? Okay, why do doctors need to be knowledgeable about AI? The doctors need to be aware of AI and how to be knowledgeable in AI for several important reasons. One is enhanced diagnostic accuracy for personalized medicine, efficiency and workflow optimization for predictive analytics, research and development, telemedicine and remote monitoring, patient engagement and education, ethical and legal considerations, for interdisciplinary collaboration and keeping up with technological advancements. So basically, I have the details of all these points, but I'm not an expert. So I will leave it to the experts to explain all of what I've put up on my screen. And first of all, I would like to invite Dr. Alan Tay, who is an associate professor, who is a consultant hematologist at Subang Jaya Medical Center. And his previous appointment is as associate professor, Department of Medicine, the Division of Clinical Hematology and Oncology at University Hospital. And he's got numerous publications, which I cannot go through. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Alan to present his present his views on the topic. Thank you, Dr. Allen. Fiona, can you play the...
Yes, doctor. I'm playing the video right now.
Thank you, Fiona.
Would you like to hear the audio?
Yes, please.
One.
The title for Dr. Allen's this one is to generative AI. Can we go on with the audio, please? We can't hear the audio.
No audio is- And tell them. Yeah.
Fiona, we're not hearing anything in the video. Hi, Fiona.
The voice is not coming.
Hello. Hi, doctor.
You can't hear the audio?
You can't hear the audio?
No, no. So I think this rings true, at least for the near future.
Can you go
Okay, so with that in mind, let's strive to be
can you
the
start
doctor
it
who
for the
knows
beginning?
use AI rather than be the one who doesn't and be the one who's more likely to be replaced or retired in the near future. So let's go through some basics. First of all, what is GPT and ChatGPT? The GPT in ChatGPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it refers to a type of neural network architecture used in natural language processing, and it's trained on large databases, and it becomes what is known as an LLM, or a large language model. So it basically uses machine learning to generate very human-like responses to natural language input or a prompt. So it can understand and generate this text in fact in multiple languages based on the training on its massive amount of data. Bear in mind though, this is not the same as AI you will see in the movies or read in the novels, where the machine has its own innate intelligence, can form its own decisions, thoughts, etc. That is AGI, which has not yet come into being. The AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. So we are still in the era of generative AI, where we still require a prompt and the machine produces an output based on your prompt or input. Now, how do you access generative AI for free? And here are some examples I've listed in. They're all free. The first in the list is, of course, OpenAI's ChatGPT, the first which was released. The current version is ChatGPT 4.0, which is free for use. And the O refers to the term Omni, since it can not only accept text input, it can also accept image uploads as well as documents for it to process and analyze. So you can access it for free at chat.openai.com. Then there's Microsoft's Copilot, formerly known as Bing, and you can access it for free at copilot.microsoft.com. And there's Perplexity, access at perplexity.ai, and Anthropic's Claude.ai, and Google's Gemini.google.com. So all these tools are free for you to use, and you can use it to access generative AI. Now, my talk will cover some possible uses in healthcare, and I'll just touch on these topics. First being how to search for information used in diagnostic systems, clinical documentation, and assistance in all various tasks such as replies, summaries, literature review, etc., and how you can use generative AI in patient education and medical education in general. All right, let's start with the first topic, which is searching for information, something you and I do on a regular basis. Not just doctors, but almost everyone nowadays relies on search for information, and the internet is so invaluable in this instance. For many years now, we've been reliant on Google, who are the kings of search, and we can't do without google.com and the Chrome browser. But in recent times, AI search has become more prominent, and it's something you should explore if you haven't already. And I'll show you why it's more useful in many ways than Google search. When you search in Google for whatever information you're seeking, you end up with a whole bunch of links which you'll have to click on and to find out whether or not the information is relevant to what you're seeking. But AI search produces generated text, which is easier to read and digest, and you don't have to go through tons of links to find the information which you seek. There are a few caveats. Now, if you are using ChatGPT, which is open here on this window, and let's say you're looking for how to manage bleeding due to warfarin overdose. All right, let's see what ChatGPT says. So we have the generated text, which sounds quite sensible, withholding warfarin, giving vitamin K, PCC, fresh frozen plasma, etc. Now, the important thing here is that the answers which ChatGPT gives you are dependent on the database on which it was trained. So it does not connect to the internet to provide the most recent information. So there are no references here. So you have to be careful. For information search, I prefer to use Bing or Copilot. And the reason is this. Let's ask the same question again. How to manage a patient who is bleeding from warfarin overdose. Okay, and AI search comes out with generated text, which is relevant to what you're seeking. Again, the answers are there. They are concise and looks correct. And more importantly, there are references at the bottom for you to click on to check. So I think this is important. Don't just rely on what the AI generates, but check the references. We can see what Perplexity says, how to manage a patient who is bleeding from warfarin overdose. All right. Again, the correct answers. And like Copilot, there are sources which you can click on. So for searching for information, I would highly recommend you use Copilot or Perplexity. Be careful if you're using ChatGPT because the answers are purely dependent on what the training database, what it has been trained on, and it may not be current information. So let's move on to ChatGPT as a diagnostic aid. And this is quite interesting because, believe it or not, ChatGPT could be used to help you if you're having a challenging clinical case. And this is a similar case to what I encountered some time back. And the patient is a 40-year-old woman who presents with cough for a month, has wheezing, has lost weight, has a rash in the legs, and was noted to be dragging her foot when she walks because she had a left foot drop. Her full blood count shows that she has raised eosinophils. So what could be the possible causes, or what are the differential diagnoses? I think most experienced clinicians would think of some form of vasculitis, which causes peripheral neuropathy and hence the left foot drop. The rash, which clinically actually does look vasculitic in nature. And together with the eosinophilia and respiratory symptoms, top of the list of differential diagnosis would be Churg-Strauss syndrome. So I thought, but it was interesting to see what ChatGPT came up with. And so let's plug this scenario into ChatGPT and see what it comes out with. And indeed, top of the list is Churg-Strauss syndrome, which is nowadays known as eosinophilic granulomatosis with polyangiitis. Okay, but it also gives you a whole bunch of differential diagnosis and suggested clinical workup, etc. And I think this is the useful bit, because sometimes there are differential diagnoses you don't think of, and this is where there are limitations to the human mind. Bear in mind, if you do the same thing in Google search, it's not going to be useful at all, or hardly useful, because it just gives you a whole bunch of links, some of which may be correct. So that's the answer there, but it may not be the top. So I think it is a useful tool, especially when the cases are puzzling. No harm, you ask ChatGPT, and you could come up with something you might be missing clinically. All right, let's move on to a different topic, and this one might interest you because clinical documentation is the bane in our clinical practice. We are told to document things very carefully, yet time is a constraint, especially if you have an EMR and you are a slow typist. Can the AI help you? Well, this one I want to share with you is something I use. It is not quite AI in its basic usage. It's a web-based app called Dictanote, and you can go to this website called dictanote.co. So you can sign in with your Google account, and the basic use is for free. You don't have to use or purchase any expensive voice transcription software. This one just runs off your browser, and as long as your desktop has a microphone or you use your laptop microphone, it works fine. So all you have to do is click start, and then it does voice typing for you. The patient is a 49-year-old woman who presents with weight loss and poor appetite for the last 1 month. Full stop. She also noted that she has been having fever and night sweats. Let me stop the voice dictation. So you notice that it is fairly accurate, and if you're a slow typist, this will really help you in your daily clinic documentation. Now, the thing which actually interests me with this Dictanote.app is they have a new function called audio scribe. Now, one of the things when we encounter patients in Malaysia is we have patients who speak multiple languages, dialects, and so on. And even if you take a voice typing, it's not easy to find an application which can recognize all the different languages. So Audio Scribe actually summarizes the clinic encounter for you in an intelligent way, and it uses AI in the background. However, it's a subscription option. So if you like Dictanote and you subscribe to it, there's the Audio Scribe feature. So let's test it out, okay? So let's launch Audio Scribe. See a microphone there, and then you can start talking, and let me simulate a patient encounter. Selamat pagi Encik Ahmad, apa khabar? Selamat pagi doktor, saya ada sakit kepala untuk dua minggu sekarang. Saya boleh cakap dalam bahasa Inggeris. Okay, let's switch to English now. Can you describe the headache for me? The headache is all around my head. It feels like a tight band and it's pressing very, very tightly around my head. So audio scribe, there's a 15-minute limit, but it will rewrite the whole encounter into English, but you can see the original transcript in the original language as well. And if you want, you can also download the complete audio. So it's quite useful if you are busy in the clinic and you just want to document the encounter in a concise and very efficient way. All right, very quickly now, let's go on to see how ChatGPT can help us in some of our daily medical tasks. I'll give an example on how you can use to generate letters. So commonly we would say want to write a reply to a GP who had referred a case. So let me take this as just a sample case, 24-year-old woman with anemia, and the final diagnosis is probably iron deficiency anemia. And I want to take my case notes and generate a reply letter to the referring GP. So let's go to ChatGPT. We can plug it in here. And then at the bottom, I put in the prompt. Please generate a reply letter to Dr. GP who referred this patient. So ChatGPT will generate the reply letter, all right? And of course you can modify it as you will, and it will save you quite a lot of time in writing. Okay, so now the other thing we can is also perform analysis on literature review. For example, if you're trying to look up information, as I said, we prefer to use Copilot because it can connect to the internet. So for example, list the important clinical trials for gilteritinib, which is a drug used in AML, which has the FLT3 mutation. So let's say FLT3 AML. So let's get a revision on what have been the important clinical trials, and Copilot tells us about Chrysalis and the important Admiral trial. So that one, we will click on it and see, go straight to the paper. And if you're using the Edge browser, you can get Copilot on the site by clicking there, and then you can query the information on that page, okay, using AI, and let's say summarize the key points of this paper, and then Copilot will generate the response. Because you could also use it to query things like, were there any weaknesses in the study, what is the study design, and so on. So summaries actually help you understand the paper or whatever you're reading in a more informed manner. Okay, time's running short, so let's move on to patient education. And for this example, let's go to ChatGPT. And here I'm asking it to generate an Asian-friendly diet for a patient with gout. And in a matter of seconds, it comes out with general guidelines on low purine, recommended foods, and in fact, even sample meals. So that's all very cool. You can generate lots of other things. For example, explain in simple terms what is gout and so on for your patient. All right, I understand that it might be too much for doctors who are less tech savvy to go to look for sites like ChatGPT, Copilot, Perplexity, etc. So I'd like to introduce you to one site where you can get almost everything into one place, and that's QMed's Copilot, and you can register at dr.qmed.com qmed.asia. So after you sign in and access the site, this is what you see. You have Copilot, which has various sections. Differential diagnosis is what I've shown you earlier, and you can enter, for example, a scenario here like that with the patient's symptoms of abdominal pain, bloating, constipation, submit it, and the AI assistant will generate the probable diagnosis, pitfalls, further evaluation. Okay, so great clinical guidance. Drug treatment, you can enter a drug like, for example, Pradaxa, okay, and you'll come out with the information about the drug, including dosing, counseling, safety in pregnancy, etc. Ask CPG, you can query various CPGs. GPT Writer is comprehensive for clinicians. You can generate a medical summary based on your case history and progress notes, powered by ChatGPT. You can also get GPT Writer to help you write a referral letter. So will be a great time saver for GPs. Okay, now GPT Writer can also help break bad news, prepare certain things to help communicate better with patients and so on. And GPT Writer also has a dynamic consent form generator. For example, let's enter something for a patient, fictitious patient, male. He has hypertension. All right, he has non-Hodgkin lymphoma. All right, let's say we are going to have a procedure. We don't have a consent form yet. Let's say CAR T cell therapy, and there's no anesthesia involved. And you submit, and here we go, and it will generate a consent form with all the risks and complications, alternative treatment benefits, etc. Of course, you should run through this and modify it as you see fit before using it. But again, it's a great time saver. There are also sections there where you can do AI chat with smart AI assistants, as well as perform AI search worldwide, local, or selectively. Right, I've quite exceeded my time, and the last section, just very briefly, is to touch on medical education. It really should be a talk by itself, and I think just in one line, it's going to transform the way medical education is conducted these days, okay, with the use of generative AI. Let's just conclude with the limitations of ChatGPT. And please note that if you're using ChatGPT, the knowledge may be limited to whatever it's been trained on, and it may not be totally up to date. I prefer to use Microsoft Copilot or Perplexity because it also has real-time search together with the generative AI from training database. You need to recognize there are gaps in its understanding, or maybe even potential biases in its response, depending on the way it's been trained. Some answers may be imaginary, something which is termed hallucination. If we can't generate the proper ones, you can actually hallucinate. So that's not very common these days, but please be mindful, it could still occur. So whatever it is, in essence, you need to be critical in whatever information you get from generative AI, and you must learn how to evaluate the quality and the reliability, and always fact check. Okay? Lastly, be mindful of privacy and security, and use it ethically. So you need to ensure that your patient data is protected. You know, healthcare is sensitive data, and you need to comply with the PDPA. So with that, thank you for watching. I just want to summarize that it's just one tool, and more is coming in the very near future. It will certainly help you in your medical practice. It does have its limitations currently. You do need to be mindful of ethical concerns, but this is only the beginning, and I believe AI will change the world. So thank you very much for watching again. These are my contacts if you need to reach out to me, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, Prof, stand by. Stand by in 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, on you. Prof, you muted. Prof?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, are there any questions from anybody to Dr. Allen from the attendees? Please. No questions. I think Dr. Allen, your presentation was so clear that no one has any questions for you.
Well, I thought I'll just give something which is really more practical than rather a theoretical talk on AI. Anyway, because I'm not trained in AI, I'm just a user. So basically, what I shared is actually the practical users. In fact, these are the things I do and use every day, and these are the things which I feel have an impact on practice. If you are a clinician in Malaysia today, these are the tools which are available. I mean, there will be more and more tools, and I'm sure my other esteemed colleagues are going to share things which are probably covering what I haven't mentioned. But I think if anybody has any questions, you can PM me. I'm happy to chat in the chat box while the conference proceeds, so we don't exceed time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Allen, for a very interesting presentation. Now we move on to the second presenter, who is Dr. Elaine Chan. She's currently an associate professor at International Medical University, and she's the lead AI, health AI in the AI laboratory, as well as the head center of environment and population health. You have 3 portfolios, Dr. Elaine. Congratulations. I think more portfolios will come your way. And Dr. Elaine has got a Bachelor of Science in Biotechnology from Monash University, Malaysia, and a PhD in Pharmacology from Monash University, also from Monash University, Malaysia. And Dr. Elaine's topic is on transforming cancer diagnosis with digitalization and artificial intelligence. Dr. Elaine, the floor is yours now. You have about 20 to 25 minutes so that we can take some Q&A as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Osulu. Yeah, for the introduction. So let me share my screen. You all can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you once again for the invitation. So today I'll be sharing with you all some of the initiatives that we have been working as a team in terms of transforming cancer diagnosis with digitalization and artificial intelligence. So actually you can see here, just to add on, is that recently last year, actually, we have spin up a company called Vidalex from IME University. So this is also part of the work that you can see the sign logo over there, just in case you wonder why. Okay, so today I'll be sharing with you why actually there's an important in using AI and digitalization for cancer diagnosis. So we know that cancer is a disease that don't need further explanation. And actually in 2020 alone, there's 10 million deaths. That's equal to 1 to every 6 deaths worldwide, and it will increase over the years. But what happened currently in Malaysia is that we are still depending on the pathologists, those people that actually are diagnosing the biopsy slides. To view the slides actually physically under the microscope, right? That could account to actually weeks and even months in places like Sabah, Sarawak, where the access to pathologists and also to the pathologists and the oops, not sure what happened to my share slide. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so that they actually will delay the process of diagnosis. And cancer, we know that the faster the diagnosis, the earlier, the better the treatment will be. So to give you a quick, so in worldwide, actually there's a shortage of pathologists, and currently there is only 480 pathologists in Malaysia itself that account to 1 pathologist to every 70,000 Malaysian. And what can you imagine what happened if the cancer rates keep on increasing, but pathologists, there's no increase, and it maintains how it actually able to support. So there is actually a call and a need to actually to do something for the pathologists and to actually quicken the process itself. So beside the challenges, the lack of manpower, there is also in terms of expertise shortage, where that, for example, that most of the experienced pathologists mainly will be situated in Klang Valley, in the main city itself, and those remote regions that most of the time that maybe will encounter even more challenging cases, there are experts over there might not be as experienced as those in Cranberry. So there is actually a need to actually send, currently what is the practice is that physical slides will be sent or they will be captured using handphone to share over to the experts in Malaysia. So this actually increase the time that's needed for diagnosis and reduce the accuracy that actually come for the diagnosis of the cancer cases itself. So what happened now is that with the advance of technology, we're able to actually digitalize the whole slides. So on top here, we can see that is the normal process of pathologist workflow, whereby we get a tissue sample, we prepare the blocks, then we get these are the physical slides, then it's being sent to pathologists to review under the microscope. So now with the whole slide scanner, these slides can be digitalized and we can view the whole slide in the view of the computer itself. So once it's digitalized, you can see a view. We can actually change the whole standard operating procedure to a digital workflow. And with that digital workflow, that come AI, whereby it can further reduce the work time that's required to actually come to the final diagnosis itself. So what happened is that now with the digital workflow and AI, once the slides are digitalized, pathologists actually can review the slides anywhere, anytime. So they just click on a link itself, they're able to go in to see the digital slides and from there come up with the diagnosis. They don't need to actually review their cases for under the microscope or have to wait for the physical slides to actually arrive at their desk to actually come out with the diagnosis itself. And if AI, the whole diagnosis will be quickly shortened and it allowed pathology to occur, whereby if there's need or second opinion, the slides can be easily shared. You just need to share the link to other pathologists and other pathologists can actually just click the link and they can review and get back with their opinion itself. This actually further increase the efficiency of doing cancer diagnosis. And one thing that we know that now for cases, pathology cases, what happened is that the slides, if they need to actually re-review the slides, actually they need to order the cases. And these slides, right, they normally archive for 10 years and actually store in some big boxes or cases down in somewhere in the hospital itself. So now with digitalization, right, to retrieve back the slides, one added advantage is that they just need to actually do a quick click or search in their platform. They're able to actually quickly retrieve those cases and review. So the proposed solution that currently the team had actually in the process of building is a one-stop digital pathology solution, whereby now once the slides are prepared, physical slide, you will actually being digitalized using whole slide scanner and view on the platform itself. And with the click of button, you're able to review the abnormal cells regions. And with that, we're able to come up with the pathology able to review and come up with the final diagnosis. This will actually, as a whole, able to reduce the personnel and so the cost and increase the efficiency of the diagnosis itself. So when we are talking about this, we are AI, and there's actually kind of, I think, normal fear, and people say that what happened if AI actually replace the expert's opinion? And as this will not happen in healthcare, because what is being proposed over here is that it's an assisted tool to the pathologist for them to perform their job scope better. So instead of using maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to review a case, with the aid of digitalization and AI, they're able to review a case maybe in 2 minutes or 1 minute, in fact. So AI is a tool that we're able to actually assist the doctor with this. We're able to actually reduce some of the ethical issues that come about, that we cannot be suing AI to actually come up with the wrong diagnosis itself, right? So we see this as a tool to actually help doctors to finally come up with the diagnosis. So currently what happened is that this is a view of how the platform will work. So you're able to review the slide itself, and then with a click of button, the AI will actually pick up the abnormal regions. So what the pathologists actually need to do, they just need to zoom into those areas to actually verify that those are correctly identified by AI. Then with that, they're able to actually come up with their reporting. So this is just a quick overview of how a normal AI model is being built. So when we have the digitalized slides, we normally create the patches from the patches, then we're able to actually come out, build the model itself. From the model, we do classification and do the accuracy determination, and finally implement the AI back to the platform for the validation and for the integration into a clinical workflow. Right, so just another side note that just I think the first speaker has shared about this. So even now in pathology world, there is a ChatGPT kind of function that you're able to upload pathological biopsy images, and the path chat will actually tell you and suggest to you what is the proposed diagnosis for that image itself. So now we know that there's so much advancements in healthcare in terms of AI. The next question, is it nice to have or is it necessary? Right. So with this, I would say that with digitalization and AI, it will quickly reduce. We're able to perform more with less. How we say that you will actually reduce the time that's required. It allows second opinion. It allows better communications. It about increased accuracy. All these will actually help to further improve the whole patient care workflow. And with that, we're able to achieve more with the limited workforce or limited resources that it might occur in certain places itself. Right. So, and another pillar of it is that once pathology slides, now you imagine we're able to digitalize it, how much data can be actually used from that to actually create personalized medicine. So with these slides being digitalized, it can be further used for genomic and proteomic profiles. It can be used to identify prognostic factors and do spatial analysis and so forth. And this data sets, the AI, the images and the structured data that is coming from clinical reports, when it's being merged together, we can actually come out and generate clinical decision through tools and able to generate predictive models and come up with better understanding of the mechanism, so that we're able to actually improve the understanding of the cancer mechanism, and also in terms of coming up with new biomarkers for better treatment care. So now I'm shifting gear a bit to a way that how we actually able to merge digital pathology with the digital biopsy with genomic data to come up with certain biomarkers detection. Right, so using the colorectal case, we know that colorectal cancers, they are divided into 5 main stages, and it is actually very important for us to know at which stage the cancer the patient has, so that we can give effective treatment. However, till now, there's still lack of understanding on the mechanism actually to really what drives actually colorectal cancer progression. Right, so with the use of spatial transcriptional analysis, this could something that we could actually achieve. So what is spatial transcriptional is that basically with the histological image that we've gotten, you're able to merge with the gene sequencing data, and once it's being overlapped that we can see here, it allows you to actually understand the gene expression in the morphological context of the case itself. Right, so we're able to know what morphological context that is actually spatially localized for the gene expression, and with that, they allow us to understand the progression of the cancer within a sample as compared to normally what we do is about sequencing that is actually missing the spatial information of the gene data. So what we did for this study is that we want to identify the biomarkers that potentially could be used for CRC tissue in terms of looking at the progression of it. So we use this technology for as 10x genomic using the ST pipeline. So briefly, what it does is that we transfer a FFPE tissues onto a VSM slide. From there, we're able to stain it, image it to get the H&E images. After that, we prepare the cDNA library. Once we get the library, we're able to sequence it. From the sequencing, we align it, then we match back to the H&E image. From there, we're able to actually analyze the gene expression data with the morphological context. So this is how it looks like. So after you merge back the gene expression on the morphological biopsy images, you're able to see the different clustering of the genes, and the different color represent the different gene clustering that we use as unsupervised clustering to do. With this, we're able to, for example, see here, maybe we're interested to compare region A, which more representing a well-differentiated tumor region compared to region B. So with the gene expression on top, we can select the two regions which represented by the green and red and do a differentiation gene analysis, and with that be able to come up with a list of genes that's potentially different between these two regions. And itself, it were able to narrow down to for biomarker detection and do pathway analysis on this. Right. Another method how AI can come into all this interplay is that once we get the H&E images, we can use AI model that have been developed to actually superimpose on it to detect the tumor regions. Then we map back to the spots that we got from the spatial transcriptomic pipeline. With that, we identified align the tissue segmentation and got the spots that relevant to the exact morphological location on the H&E slide itself. So this is an example of how it looks like. So there's a tumor front, we identify two tumor fronts within A and B. We can get these two regions, the genes, and do a sequential expression analysis. And with that, we're able to identify 4D genes. And this is able to see clearly this gene, how strong actually it expressed in the different regions of the slides when we highlight the genes. So these are on your right, you can see how actually all these genes are expressed spatially on the tissue slide itself. Right, so with this, I will end my presentations by acknowledging the team that have been working on this. And with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elaine. And if there are there any questions from anyone who's watching the presentation?
Meeting chairs, yeah.
Any questions?
So far, no questions there.
Any comments?
No comments here.
No comments and no questions. Anybody else wants to ask Dr. Elaine any questions?
Hi, Priscilla. So far, no questions from the floor.
There's no questions from the floor. So, if is it okay if we move on to the third speaker, Dr. Dilashini? Dr. Dilashini, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. One moment, please.
Yes.
Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. So one moment, let me share the screen first.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Dilashini, let me
So,
introduce you first before I ask you to speak without introducing you. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Okay, Dr. Dilashini is a researcher
no
at
problem.
Manchester University, and she's currently working on a rare form of myelodysplastic syndrome, and she's working at the Patterson Cancer Institute. And her past experience has been in Hospital Cebu in Sarawak, and the General Hospital in Teluk Intan, as well as in Ipoh Path Lab. And she has had an education, and her MBBS at AIDS Malaysia, and a master's in molecular pathology of cancer. That's what she's working on currently. She's working on a master's at Manchester University. Okay, Dr. Dilashini, you can start. Sorry, I forgot to introduce you.
No problem. So thank you, Professor, for your kind introduction and the invitation. And without further ado, let's begin my presentation on AI and multimodal data integration in healthcare research. And it's my experience in the UK, which I will be sharing. So the objectives today, we will explore the concept of multimodal data integration, its clinical relevance, various data integration methods. I'm sorry, could you see my screen?
We can't see your screen, Dr.
Okay, sorry, 1 second.
Please share your screen.
Okay, so here we are again.
Okay, great.
Thank you. And So today we will explore the concept of multimodal data integration, its clinical relevance, various data integration methods, and the associated technical and analytical challenges. So the increasing availability of biomedical data from sources like large biobanks, electronic health records, medical imaging, wearable sensors, and the reduced cost of this genomic and microbiome sequencing in the UK have created opportunities for the development of multimodal AI solutions. And these solutions capture the complexities of human health and disease in ways previously unimaginable. High dimensional data produced by these advanced technologies necessitate visualization tools that can intuitively reveal data structures and patterns, as spoken by Elaine previously. And since humans are inherently visual learners, presenting these data sets in an understandable manner is essential for clinicians and researchers. This is particularly crucial in biological systems where structures exist at multiple scales. Moreover, clinical diagnosis could fail to adequately weigh disparate data inputs, revealing the limitations of human decision-making. The strength of algorithmic decision support lies in its ability to offload complex tasks, ideally leading to better outcomes. And computational modeling and information fusion can guide more effective decision-making at the patient level in specialized centers across the UK at the moment. This figure here illustrates the flow of information from specialized hospitals and research centers in the UK, which encompasses diverse data types such as omics, clinical notes, time series, demographics, lab values, and imaging. This data undergoes transformation so it could guide precision health outcomes, which ultimately improves patient outcomes and their overall survival. Well, traditionally, the healthcare has relied on single modality approaches, where medical decisions are made mostly on analyzing a single type of data, such as clinical records or radiologic images. However, the ability of diverse data sources and advancements in technology have made it increasingly feasible and promising to integrate multiple modalities. While single modality approaches have their merits, of course, they often may not capture the full complexity of diseases and provide us limited information as clinicians. In contrast, multimodality techniques leverage the complementary nature of varied data sources, allowing a more holistic patient health assessment. And the adoption of multimodality approaches in healthcare is vital for the advancement of personalized medicine, which ultimately improves patient outcomes and quality of life. So multimodality approaches utilizes the richness of information across modalities. This figure shows the application of multimodality method in healthcare, especially in the UK. So multimodal data, including both omics and non-omics information from the same patient, are harnessed to develop these AI systems for prognostic and diagnostic purposes. Multimodality approaches include the analysis and fusion of different data types, such as non-omics data, which include clinical records, imaging, and physiological measures, to gain a more comprehensive understanding of patients' conditions. In addition to omics data, like genome, transcriptome, epigenome, and proteome, and currently even metabolome. So each modality reveals specific aspects of both pathology and physiology, and effectively integrating and analyzing these data presents both unique challenges and opportunities. Medical scanners are now also producing high resolution digital images across modalities like CT, PET, and MRI scans. Meanwhile, electronic health records are compiling diverse clinical data in more structured formats. By incorporating these complementary modalities, such as omics data, which I have described, into advanced analytics methods like deep learning, it has become possible to model complex multimodal relationships, achieving over 90% diagnostic accuracy. Data generated using high throughput technologies such as mass spectrometry, next generation sequencing, and microarray has led to the accumulation of diverse types of molecular data, including genome, transcriptome, epigenome, and proteome, which also means genes, proteins, mRNA, microRNA, and metabolites. These data come in various types, discrete, string, etc., and various sizes. Datasets such as gene expression, microRNA expression, protein DNA binding data, mutation data, which includes single nucleotide polymorphisms, copy number variations, annotations, interactions, and association data are commonly used to study cellular mechanisms. Each provides a complementary data, which are all unique view of the genome, embedding crucial information about the phenotypic outcomes of a patient and regulatory mechanisms. Integrating these data and inferring regulatory interactions through early, intermediate, or late integration strategies offers system-level biological insight for predicting gene functions and their associated phenotypic outcomes. So various methods exist, like network-based, neural network, and regression-based techniques are utilized to collectively mine information from integrated data sets. These are mostly seen in preclinical settings in the UK, preclinical research as well. Machine learning data fusion techniques. There are three main types of data fusion used in machine learning. We have early, intermediate, and late. Early could also be said as data level. Intermediate could be also said as joint, and late could be said as decision level. And here is the schematic representation of these three types of data fusion. In the case of early fusion or early integration, multiple data sources are converted to the same information space. This often involves numerical conversion or vectorization from their original state. For instance, medical images can be numerically converted based on volume, area, and structural calculation. These numerical features are then concatenated with other structured data and fed into a classifier. So common methods for converting all this data exist into the same feature space include canonical correlation analysis, non-negative matrix factorization, and independent component analysis. As for intermediate data fusion or integration, it involves a stepwise set of models, offering the greatest flexibility in model architecture. Unlike the previous described, which is the early fusion method, intermediate fusion combines distinct features from each data type to produce a more expressive representation than the separate representations from which it originated. Moving on to the next type, which is the late fusion or late integration. Multiple models are treated with each model corresponding to an incoming data source. This approach now often yields better performance than individual models. There have also been some advancements in multitask deep learning within late fusion. So what is the clinical relevance? Data fusion can help address gender representation and increase population diversity issues, which includes minority population, and in health modeling by creating more representative data sets. So this reciprocal compensation is beneficial for addressing ethnic and racial diversity as well. There are, however, several limitations as well. And however, the clinical application of AI faces these several challenges, which include most likely a lack of expertise in specified sectors and fields, infrastructure issues, public policies, and data rights frameworks. So data privacy issues must be addressed to fully realize the potential of multimodal AI in healthcare. Additionally, the trustworthiness of AI in medical decision-making is limited by insufficient data diversity, which is limited participation from health institutions in AI development and validation, and sometimes non-transparent algorithms. Next could be high-dimensional multimodal data fusion, which presents unique technical complications due to data incompatibility. So data types can vary widely in representation, scale, dimensionality, structure, and even spatial temporal characteristics from the images you've seen shared by Elaine. For example, genetic data consists of thousands of features, while medical images are composed of high-resolution, multi-channel pixel arrays. So the next drawback would be the variability in data acquisition and pre-processing methods, which further complicates data integration. Consequently, directly aggregating raw data is often impractical due to differences in representation, dimensionality, scale, and structure. Last but not least will be traditional machine learning techniques, which struggle with such complexity, as shown by Dr. Allen, where we could see ChatGPT had its limitations, making deep learning approaches a powerful paradigm for multimodal data integration. Deep neural networks instead can learn abstract data representations that capture statistical dependencies and modality-specific topology. In the near future, an integrated strategy for the adoption of AI in health institutions encompasses a global health AI strategy, comprehensive AI models, phased AI introduction, clinical education, and infrastructure implementation. These components collectively provide a foundation for addressing healthcare disparities. As for global health AI strategy, the introduction of AI in developing countries should differ from that in developed high-income countries. Variations in clinical experience, disease patterns, personnel, demographics, clinical equipment, and digital infrastructure necessitate a tailored global health AI strategy. Next, comprehensive model for AI adoption. So a comprehensive model that integrates clinical education, phased AI introduction, and infrastructure deployment is essential. Lastly, clinical education and infrastructure development, which is simultaneous data management, training, and clinical education, alongside infrastructure implementation, clear data use policies, and ethical consideration can facilitate the use of AI at both individual patient and population levels. Enhancing local personnel expertise through comprehensive education combined with hardware, software, and infrastructure to support AI integrated clinical workflows is critical. These developments should occur in tandem with a phased introduction of AI into healthcare, with scaling and testing of AI via global health collaboration. So to summarize, the images in the subset were taken at a cancer research hospital in the UK. They display digital histopathology slide viewing, which is used in practice in actual clinics, and also performed routinely by pathologists in 5 hospitals and centers across the UK. These slides are viewed using the Nano Zoomer S60, the digital slide scanner that converts glass slides into digital data, instead of using traditional microscopes. This technology is expected to be implemented across all hospitals in the UK within the next 5 years. Eventually, AI models could be trained to identify tumor regions, as could be seen being practiced in IMU, and subsets, and applied beyond research settings to complement clinical decision making. A study by Darbansari et al. Demonstrated that the possibility of AI to detect prognostically different and otherwise unrecognizable tumor subsets of endometrial carcinoma where both standard and conventional molecular and pathology criteria fall short. This refines the image-based tumor stratification. This study suggested that an AI model that is easy to incorporate into clinical practice, such as in a cloud-based environment, where scanned routine histopathology images can be uploaded for AI assessment, thus having a greater impact on patient management. And after appropriate validation, an AI algorithm could be used on diagnostic biopsy specimens along with molecular subtype markers. With further validation and refinement, this algorithm, which can be performed in minutes on a diagnostic slide image, have the potential to replace molecular subtype markers, saving both time and cost. And in summary, today we explored the immense potential of multimodal techniques supported by AI to transform various aspects of healthcare by enabling enhanced treatment planning, more accurate diagnosis, and personalized interventions for patients. The integration of data through AI techniques from multiple complementary modalities is revolutionizing medicine by enabling a more holistic approach of analysis. Adopting multimodal systems with the aid of AI in clinical settings can provide practitioners with a more comprehensive perspective of each patient, leading to data-driven, personalized care. However, translating this potential in clinical settings will necessitate addressing key challenges related to model interpretability, ethical data handling, and seamless integration into practitioner workflows. Each modality offers a different perspective, but has also limitations such as dimensionality, noise, and artifact issues. Additionally, modalities exhibit very different spatial, temporal characteristics, and statistical properties. This necessitates the development of sophisticated AI models that are capable of serving joint representations while handling multimodal complexities. And that will be the end from me for today. Thank you for your attention. And are there any questions? Or alternatively, you can reach me out through these platforms. Thank you.
Digitalize, I think that's a question. That's a question.
Can you ask it?
Yeah.
Can you ask the question, please?
Yeah. Excuse me, there is a question that you need to answer. I think that Dr. Allen pays.
Yeah.
Image intensive.
Can you read out the question?
Yeah, can you look at the meeting chat? Can you check the
But,
meeting?
Yes,
maybe I just speak? Yeah, no, just a comment. The theme so far from second speaker, third speaker makes me think about areas in medicine which are image intensive. So all these things can be digitalized.
Okay.
So like
That's right.
radiology, pathology, even clinical dermatology, all these images, I think
Yes, that's right.
the doctors in these specialties, do you think should watch out? Are their jobs going to be threatened? What do you think?
I'm sorry, I need to correct you that they can never be replaced because, like what I'm seeing in the clinical hospitals here, there will always be a doctor at the computer trying to figure things out. Although it is AI, and I can understand like you are thinking it is digitalized, so you don't need a staff or a doctor. That's incorrect because what the computer can do and what the computer can see, we still need to validate as histopathologists. And there is always a histopathologist in the lab as well as behind the computer to validate these results because AI can make mistakes, and as what you have said previously, that AI can hallucinate. So AI can overcorrect, AI can overdo things sometimes, which is why we need a doctor and a histopathologist. Actually, speaking about that, we are lacking histopathologists in the UK as well as in Malaysia. It's a global phenomenon because the training is getting harder and more difficult, and there are actually multiple subspecialties within histopathology itself, like neuropathology, pediatric pathology, and many more. So it's no more general pathology, and also a pathology currently working in the UK is required to know about AI and updates, like how to use the new system because it's being rolled out within the next 5 years. So everyone in the hospital, in the NHS, are supposed to move from the traditional microscopes to monitors. And it does not help to reduce workload as expected sometimes, because that means you have to be behind the computer or with your phone 24/7. And that means you need more pathologists. It does not replace pathologists. It helps to reduce some sort of workload in terms of perhaps like the documentation part, but it does not replace the skill set, the ideas, and the inputs and experiments from a histopathologist. I hope that
Yes,
has
I
answered your question.
absolutely agree. But I think when I mean watch out, I think the pathologists who know how to use AI will replace those who do not know how.
Maybe.
Are there any
If
other
necessary.
questions? It's not only participants who can ask questions, the panel can also ask questions. Any panelist who wants to ask questions up to now, because we are running ahead of time. So we can allow some time for a discussion or question before we move on. Because I think it's 6 a.m. in the UK and Dr. Dilashni has to get to work at some point. I'm not sure when, but soon, I think.
In a while. Soon.
Okay, are there any other questions, please?
Well, if there are, I could answer online as well. Like I could leave my contact numbers. Maybe they can get through me from there.
And maybe put it in the chat box.
Yeah. I'll be happy to answer.
There's a doctor there.
Yeah, there's one more question.
As a GP, we often Google informed patient with AI, make matters worse. So among doctors, they discuss that
Well, if that
AI,
question is for me,
so how true is that?
well, I do not. I'm not against patients googling their own symptoms. If that's the question.
And doctors don't like to be challenged. So your reaction panel.
Can you see my mug?
Please
It says,
do not confuse your Google search with my medical degree. Great one on that one.
This is what I have in my clinic. Yeah.
Right. This is
Can I just add a comment? I think when you look at generative AI, I'm more talking about generative AI, which is a subset of AI itself. We must divide knowledge between explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. And I think what generative AI and AI has is explicit knowledge based on large amount of documented data. Whereas what we have, which I call which I'll go through in my lecture a little bit later, the real intelligence. So the artificial intelligence has to be met with the real intelligence, and that's us. I hope we have intelligence, not all of us. Some of us really don't have. But that real intelligence is the tacit intelligence that is based on the experience that we have had from past knowledge and from our past errors. And that is the part that we really need to make sure that we practice. And but I think the explicit knowledge, we cannot challenge AI because AI has the computational power that our brain actually doesn't have. So that's where we bring the two together, the meeting of RI and AI, RI being real intelligence. Yeah.
Continue, Dr. Vai. You went
No, I just wanted to make a comment, that's all. Okay. I think some of this will come out in my lecture when I'm talking about, I'm not that clever with AI, I just use it. I don't know what it is, but I just use it. And I use it very successfully in my life. So yeah, I think there you'll see the use case of AI.
Okay, are there any other questions? Is there anything else in the chat box? No, there are no other questions. Can we move on to the next speaker, please? Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Vaikundan Rajaratnam. Dr. Vaikundan is an internationally accredited hand surgeon, a medical educator, and an instructional designer with over 40 years of experience. He's currently based in Singapore. He's a pioneer in integrating AI into healthcare, education, and research. Dr. Rajaratnam has facilitated various workshops on AI application across multiple educational levels, aligning with UNESCO guidelines for ethical AI use. His workshops have empowered teachers, students, and professionals to harness AI tools ethically and effectively. A lifelong learner and a committed humanitarian, Dr. Rajaratnam collaborates with professionals across Europe and Asia to democratize education and healthcare through technology. And his CV that he sent to us is very modest. Dr. Rajaratnam also got an MBA and as well as a PhD in education. So obviously he's a lifelong learner, and I think he probably is working on his next PhD or something. Okay, Dr. Vaibundan Rajaratnam, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prof. Sulochana, for your kind words, and thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here. Among all this, I know Alan well. I don't know whether we were in university together. He's many years younger than me. I'm a very old man, but it's great to hear them. And I think a good disclaimer is I don't know anything about AI, but I just use it. I like to use. I'm a foodie, so I know what a good Hokkien mee is, but don't ask me to make a Hokkien mee. So I'm basically utilization expert. I utilize all these tools. These are just tools for me. And I want to say is this is my experience. What I share today, it does not reflect that of my employer or my affiliations with UNESCO or with anybody. So these are just mine. Any errors caused here is mine. Any credit goes to the AI and to the knowledge base. I don't guarantee the outcomes that you will get with the use of AI. However, I expect you to take responsibility. Hello? You can hear me, right?
We lost you a little bit, Dr. Vai.
Okay. So I'm just saying the disclaimer is I don't know the technical aspects of generative AI, but I'm just a user. I've got no financial disclosure to make. You are responsible for whatever you write or create through the use of generative AI, and you must understand that. So we looked at the body of knowledge and what is the evidence out there in generative AI in healthcare. We looked at 90 papers. We just submitted this for publication, a scoping review of 90 papers. And this is the overall arching themes that came out from the use of generative AI in healthcare. Everybody is on the bandwagon, and one of the domains that's got, I think as Prof. Luchana mentioned, the biggest area in which AI is being used almost daily is in healthcare. And the overarching themes that I looked at in our scoping review were these are the 5 main areas. And I've already started working on training people on the use of AI in not only just in healthcare, but in overall education. So we were right in the path that we have taken. This is one of the big areas that was needed to be addressed. There was a gap currently because AI moves so fast, and everybody was learning and using it by trial and error without a structured course. So this is the team that I work with at the UNESCO chair. Prof. Apta is the UNESCO chair. I'm the senior partner. And our team works to help increase capacity for competency in generative AI in the education sector generally, but also in the healthcare sector. That's where I specialize. We have some international collaborators from around the world. So these are the various products that we have designed, developed and delivered over the last 1 year. So there's another lecture, if you can search that in SlideShare or share with you all later, where we showed how we did the design and development of these modules. So these are the various acronyms. So they're for healthcare professionals in general, for learning design, for research, academic writing, for productivity and efficiency. And on the 29th, I'll be running a workshop in Penang on the use of generative AI for healthy aging among the elderly, the AI Gold program. So these are the others are for primary school and secondary school, which my colleagues at the APU UNESCO chair do that. So as part of designing and developing these products, we also created open educational resources. So I'm a great fan of OER. I believe that education should be easily accessible to everybody. So for each of our training modules and workshops that we run, just to note, we are now trained over 4,000 people in 13 countries. We have an online module that's on the left. So this is the one for instructional design for healthcare professionals. I've been running this for the last 8-9 years. But in the last couple of years, we have incorporated AI into that. And that comes with the book that I wrote, and that's also available. Then we have another workshop, Artificial Intelligence for Health Professionals. That's the next one I'll be running at University of Malaya on the 11th of August. And that also comes with 2 books. There's an AI for healthcare professionals and another one on, I call it promptologies, not proctology, but promptology, healthcare promptologies, how to use and craft prompts so that we get good responses from generative AI. Then there's another one for qualitative research. Integrating AI into qualitative research is very, very useful for coding, for data analysis, thematic analysis, and this workshop is coming on the 17th of August. And then we have one for general research using AI and another one for data analysis. We ran this a few months ago in IMU for data analysis, creating synthetic data for the health informatics students to use. And then we have for education, using basically how to use generative AI to do learning design. Instead of instructional design, it's learning design is the new word now, inclusivity. And we have a book that follows that. And then we have one workshop for academic writing, and there's another book that we have prepared. So all this comes to the online module and a book for participants to continue. Apart from that, I think Ellen spoke a lot about the GPT, the free versions. A lot of stuff I'm talking today, you don't get it with the free versions. So to all Malaysians out there or to all the Southeast Asian people, stop going to Starbucks. I got nothing against Starbucks. Save your money. And the 100 ringgit, 5 Starbucks will give you one month subscription to ChatGPT 4. If you cannot afford everything, just buy ChatGPT 4 and it will change your life. And I think institutions should be paying for this for the academic staff and to their students. Some of the Australian universities are already doing that. So I've used the paid version. You can create your own bespoke GPTs, and these are some of my GPTs. We have one for medical education designer. It helps you design modules in medical education. The other one is a learning module designer. So the learning module creator creates online modules for you, engaging and interactive modules, and teaches you how to do that. And then I use this for my students, hand surgery companions, teaches hand surgery, and I just leave it to them and say, you're going to learn. This is all part of intelligent tutoring systems that they do. And when they have difficulty, they come to me and then we talk about higher order thinking. So then we have this for neurology. I got one for neurotutor because I do my subspecialty, peripheral nerve and stroke. And so we teach them on this. And then we have instructional design for healthcare, and then we have this 8 stuff. So what we teach in our workshop, I think Alan touched on this in his first part. I'm glad he started the ball rolling. It is the prompting. The prompting is crucial. And this, I believe, reading, writing, arithmetic, and prompting should be the 4 basic skills everyone need to learn. And we have started on this journey in trying to teach as many people how to prompt, to define your objective, to understand the model, to break down the task. So from the chain of thought, skeleton of thought, single shot, 0 shot, multiple shot prompting, and all these things. So these are all in the book. So we craft the prompts, and then we see what the response is. And then from there, we then iterate and refine until we get our objective. What is it that we want from it? But the most important part of our workshops, and it's very important for everybody to learn, is how do you do the validation. I think the other speakers have touched on this, and this is where I just mentioned just now, where real intelligence meets artificial intelligence. We are the beings, we are the sentient beings that have RI, which is our tacit knowledge that comes from years of experience, and that's where the AI cannot replace. But AI has got all the experiential knowledge more than what I have. So we need to validate the response, and this is the process through which we validate the response. As a subject matter expert, I can rapidly validate because I know the subject matter quite well. So for the lay person, for the taxi driver, he probably, unless he happens to be a hand surgeon or a physician, but otherwise he will have difficulty. he is attracted by the nature of the response, the verbosity of the response, and then he thinks that is the truth. So that's the problem. So this is one of the very important slides that I overemphasize. We spend the first half day in our workshops going through this, is the evidence-based validation of the response from generative AI. This is nothing new. It's just basically how we validate evidence using literature review, using key terms extraction, putting that into databases, searching, doing screening, and from screening, we extract data onto our tables, and then we synthesize that. And all of this can be enabled and enhanced by generative AI and various tools that are available. And then we match it with that of the generative AI response and see, and that's how we validate. And this is critical thinking, and this is very important. So I'll just go through quickly how I use it kind of session. So this is more on my use case of generative AI. I, on an average, use generative AI about 3.5 hours a day in the weekdays, and in the weekend, about 8 to 10. I have no other interest in life, I suppose. That's what my wife tells me. So I think Ellen touched on virtual assistants. So I use it regularly in my clinics, because one of the big pain points, I'll show you a video how I use it for my electronic medical record documentation. As a clinical decision support system, that I use that to help me with diagnosis, help me to find recent work on it. And here is how I use this in the clinical ambient recording process. So I've created an app called EMR Assistant, which is on my GPT. It's an electronic medical record. My hospital went paperless 2 years ago. Everything has to be written, and I can't type. I type at the rate of 3 words per minute or something like that. So my EMR has been patient is better, ganglion needs an operation. That's all I write, because they don't have transcription services in my hospital. But now with my EMR assistant, I'm writing very good EMRs, partly because the clinical ambient. So this is how it is done. I just play you the video and you can see. So there's a bit of audio problem, but basically this is me with a simulated patient. This is one of my staff, and the app sits on my phone, and we are having a conversation. We are just having a conversation, and that conversation is recorded on the phone, on my EMR experience. And from the recording, it is then, as you will see, she's presenting with symptoms of carpal tunnel with numbness in the hand, and she's describing everything. So it is not just a transcription of that. This transcription is taken up by the app, the EMR assistant, and then it is because of the prompting that I have pre-programmed into the GPT, it converts it to a standardized EMR that is then uploaded into our EMR system called Epic. And so that has really transformed my practice. I see something between 85 to 100 patients in a day, and I don't have the time to type that. And here you can see the auto transcription has been done automatically. And this transcription, I just upload it to the chat GPT, and it then converts it into a beautiful EMR with the diagnostic plan. And this can then be cut and paste into my Epic. And so here's a clinical synopsis. And it even introduced the fact, I just asked the patient, can I examine you? And it says that consent was obtained from the patient. So that is how it works. And it is really made my life much, much better. And my colleagues are impressed at my electronic medical records. Okay. Let me stop that. Let's go on to the next one. So here, I will show you how I use it for clinical diagnosis. Now, what I'm going to do is, so this is only works with the paid version of ChatGPT 4. I am uploading an image. It's an old image of a patient of mine who came with a fungating lesion in the thumb. And so I've uploaded that image, and then I'm now prompting him with a brief clinical history to give it context and background. So I asked him, what's the diagnosis of this patient? I give him the age, and I say he's a farmer because he may be exposed to arsenic in his farm, which is a predisposition for malignancy. And for those of us who are clinically inclined, you can see it's obviously raised, diverted ages in the lesion. It is a malignancy. So we have put it in there. And so once the prompt, as you can see, my typing is very bad and very slow. But well, that's the way life is. So unfortunately, the desktop version doesn't have the audio yet. Only the handheld device, the ChatGPT, has the voice. So here it is. It is immediately diagnosed as squamous cell carcinoma. A third-year medical student should be able to diagnose that. It is also given me what are the management options, that he needs a biopsy. Is given a set of treatment modalities. And this is all pretty accurate. I am quite pleased with that report. Now, if I'm a junior doctor, I need to now counsel this patient on what to do. So I have put in a next prompt, provide me a script to advise the patient on what to do. And immediately it gives me a script and saying, good morning, patient, how are you today? And the patient. And so here's a script that can give that tacit knowledge to somebody who doesn't have it, which is a junior doctor, to help him to enhance his consultation with the patient. So here is a decision support system plus a clinical support system for junior doctors. So this is AI working in real life. So here's another bot that we created. This was a couple of years ago. We did some research with the Ministry of Health Malaysia on leprosy, and I was helping with the data collection and analysis. And one of the findings we found was a lot of healthcare professionals and even the allied health professions on the ground lack knowledge about leprosy and localized knowledge about leprosy control programs in Malaysia. So we created a bespoke bot, which we incorporated the leprosy protection program, prevention program in Malaysia, and the bot worked, and it worked very nice. And later I'll show you what are the problems with this bot. So this is a clinical decision support system. This is a patient education that I created. I cannot speak Mandarin. I speak a splattering of Cantonese. This was completely created by generative AI. I created the script. I created the video using various platforms. And this is what we teach in our workshop, especially in learning design, AI for learning design. We teach healthcare professionals how to create patient education forms. So let's come to medical education. So the role of generative AI is now made simulation, personalized learning, and remote collaboration really, really affordable. 100 ringgit a month, 5 Starbucks, stop drinking Starbucks, make kopi o. This is a video I created using generative AI.
Welcome to the medical student module on organomegaly. In organomegaly is the abnormal enlargement organ journey into the sign often pointing to an underlying disease. But what causes often pointing to an underlying normal size? This module will delve into the anatomy of vital abdominal medical student module on organ.
I will just stop that. There was a little bit of overlap there. So you can see that you can create that. So if you want to create that kind of a, I'll just stop this for a while. If you wanted to create a video like that from scratch, it would have taken about 2 to 3 weeks. It would have cost you something like 5,000 ringgit to produce that kind of a video. This took me about 8 minutes or so, but I think for the newcomer, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and it's all done to generative AI, various platforms, all right? So that's the difference of how you're going to make that digital educational resources, assets. So we're training healthcare professionals, educators on how to use generative to become more productive, more efficient, and they could spend more time with difficult situations with their patients. Now here I'm going to show you a simulation to take history taking, and I'm the student here, and I'm terrible at history taking. Ellen will tell you that I'm very hopeless in medicine.
So that I could learn how to take a good history. So I want you to act as though you have chest pain that is of acute onset, and we will get into a conversation. I hope you understand this.
Sure, I understand. Let's start. I'm feeling a sudden, sharp pain in my chest. It started about an hour ago. The pain is quite severe and seems to be in the center of my chest. It's not like anything I've felt before. I haven't done anything strenuous today that could have caused it. I'm feeling a bit short of breath as well. I'm really worried about what could be causing this.
Do you feel sweaty now?
Yes, I do. I'm feeling quite sweaty and a bit clammy. It's unusual for me to sweat like this when I'm not exerting myself. It's making me feel even more uncomfortable.
Have you had similar episodes before?
No, this is the first time I've experienced something like this. It's quite alarming because I've never had chest pain before. I'm not sure what to do about it. I'm also feeling a bit lightheaded now. It's all very concerning.
Have you had previous history of high blood pressure?
No, I haven't been diagnosed with high blood pressure before. I generally try to maintain a healthy lifestyle, but this sudden chest pain is really worrying me. I've never experienced anything like it before. It's making me feel quite anxious.
Do you feel that this pain is radiating anywhere?
Yes, the pain seems to be radiating to my left arm and up to my jaw. It's a very uncomfortable sensation. I'm not sure what's causing it, but it's unlike anything I've felt before. It's making me feel quite anxious and worried.
Do you feel breathless when you walk up a flight of stairs?
Yes, I've noticed that I've been getting winded more easily than usual. Even simple activities, like walking up a flight of stairs, leave me feeling breathless. It's not something I've experienced before, and it's quite concerning given the current situation.
Do you have difficulty sleeping flat on the bed?
Yes, I've been having difficulty sleeping flat on the bed. I found that I need to prop myself up with several pillows to get comfortable. It's not something I've had to do before, and it's adding to my concern about this sudden chest pain and breathlessness.
Is there a history in your family with heart disease, heart attacks, or strokes?
Yes, there is a history of heart disease in my family. My father had a heart attack in his late 50s.
And here you see the generative AI has provided a critique of that simulated history taking, which would have taken a tremendous amount of effort and time and resources if done in our usual manner to observe the history taking. We needed a patient, we needed a lecturer to be observing this. And this can be done and sent to the lecturer, and you can see how asynchronous assessment can be performed. And number two, you can see this even graded, and we won't go. I'm not a great history taker for cardiology, but I can tell you that it's pretty good. But though some people have criticized that I should have taken the patient straight to emergency because it looks like the patient was having a heart attack. But you can see the benefits of generative AI in simulation.
So the other area I use, we as the hand surgeon do a lot of medical report writing, expert specialist report. And here again, I've got my own ChatGPT, and I use this medical report assistant where I put in my data, patient's range of movement and things of that nature. And we have to create reports in Singapore in accordance to the Ministry of Manpower's guidelines on disability assessment in that book. And the reports must be so specific. There are certain formulas you have to use to calculate the amount of percentage disability, and you have to quote the page. It can be a bit of a pain, and in a busy clinic, I don't have time to do that. I'm very lazy. So that's how AI helps me. So I just dump it in there. It writes a report. I just validate it, have a quick look, sign it off, and it's done. So these are the ways, and I use it on a daily basis. The other area which I do a fair bit of research, so I use it extensively in my research in terms of doing literature review, data analysis, data visualization, data cleaning, and in writing and synthesis. And so there are various aspects of the AI in data management, even synthetic data creation. I've used that to help me to do certain analysis, to test out and inform for modeling, for predictive modeling. So what we use is the standard AI for literature review is just using the standard process and how we do literature review. But I use certain platforms that facilitates and enhance my literature review. I can do a literature review on a topic in 7 minutes. What would have taken a couple of weeks, it takes me about 7 minutes. I've got a basic draft, and then I give it out to my so I'm a slave owner, digital slave owner, which is ChatGPT, but I also have other slaves. Sorry, I shouldn't call them slaves, but my registrars and researchers who then add on value to this. Here I show you an example of how we are doing this. So my search term here is using chatbot for decision support systems in primary care. I've used that research question into this platform called illicit.org. It is an AI literature search engine. And this is video screenshots in live time, in real-time videos. So you can see the lag and all. How long did that take? That took less than a minute to get me the top 8 papers, and a summary is ready. So I added a couple of additional columns to the data extraction sheet, which was the main findings, the summary of discussions, and I also like the policy recommendation. So the so what of the research question. So now you can see over time, it is populating this table, my data extraction table. It has done the screening, it has done the search, it's screened, it pulled in 8 papers. And if I need more, I will probably still have to do a little bit more search. And that's pretty good. So now I'm going to export this as an Excel spreadsheet. And there it's done. It's already exported as a spreadsheet. Then I'm going to export it as a bibliography file that I can then import into my referencing software. So all these processes we teach in our AI for research workshop and AI for academic writing. The details are then taught to them. And so now we can use that to start writing our papers. So here,
for quantitative data analysis. So you can do data cleaning, data analysis, and data visualization. You can even provide recommendation for the various statistics. Here's a paper that I had written before we uploaded the paper. And we asked to look at the data and to create a Pareto analysis of some of the basic data that was available. I had, for the paper itself, done this manually. It took me quite a while. It's an old paper. But however,
There's something in the background that, is there anyone asking a question?
It was very accurate.
So in this large data set, this is an open data set of the NHS Finnish consultant episode in the various specialities, which I took it from the net, and I took this data set and I then put it into ChatGPT, and immediately within a few seconds, it analyzed and gave me the key features showing that orthopedics is a very important part of NHS next to general medicine and general surgery. And it did the visualization of the data immediately. So this is in quantitative data analysis. We are currently working on some research project with some data scientists to validate some of the inferential statistics that comes out of ChatGPT, because my statistics is 0.00, so I not much knowledge on that. Now we come to the ethical consideration. I think everybody has mentioned that, and this is very important. Patient privacy, PDPA, Data Protection Act, you don't go to jail, please. Please don't put you would not put your bank account number and password onto the anywhere. So please don't put your patient's data there. To try and redact and anonymize the data for you to help. You must understand algorithm bias. I think you would have noted just now in that clinical simulation, the lady uses the word winded. Winded is a term that locals we don't understand. It's a very UK, and that's the disadvantage of generative AI. They are Anglo-centric. And I'll show you later how we overcame that. And as with anything else, we must have human oversight, that a doctor must always look at the response and then only sign it off, because otherwise you're the one who's going to go for jail for writing hallucination. So when we first did our first version board in Malaysia for leprosy, one of the feedback we got, most of the people on the ground didn't understand English very well. And so it was very Anglo-centric. So I had to then, this is a RAG chatbot because we had incorporated our own knowledge base into it. So it's called Retrieval Augmented Generative Bot. So what I had to do was take out that knowledge base, convert it, into Malay, and then upload it back. So I translated it to Malay, obviously using generative AI for the translation. So the important aspects of our workshop is we teach people how to integrate it on a daily basis. This is not something that's nebulous, that's esoteric, that's out there. It's only for all the clever people who go and do all this image analysis and all that. Is for the common people like you and me on the ground in the villages of my hospitals where I work, into our existing workflow to make us more productive, more efficient, and more accurate. As long as we understand that we have to add in the critical thinking component, and it's the real intelligence. I believe that the future is fantastic. This is going to be transformational. We are working on some of the frameworks and moving forwards. A lot of ethics consideration has used a Western ethics framework, and I don't agree. I'm also a practicing ethicist. I advise the Singapore Ministry of Health on the National Medical Ethics Council, and we believe it should be an Asian system. So these are things that are coming down. These are some of the workshops that's coming ahead. As I mentioned, there's one for elderly healthy aging on the 29th of July in Penang, and there's University of Malaya on the 10th, 11th August on AI for health professionals. AI for qualitative research is on the 17th of August in APU, and in Singapore we have on November, we have two for AI for health professionals. September is in Sri Lanka, and in October is in India. I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time and your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vai. Are there any questions or comments from anyone?
Hi, Vai, from me. Hi, Vai, pleased to meet you. Nice to see you.
How are you?
I was a medical student when you were a senior medical officer in UH. Still remember. Yeah, all the years have passed. But I'm not much younger than you, so also we can't carry on. But you're very humble in your understanding of AI is very deep. And thank you. I really enjoyed your talk. I'm curious, the things I was demonstrating that dicta note thing because I'm grappling with the issues of clinic documentation and transcription. So your way of, I think you're using ChatGPT, and the paid version has got all these GPTs which you can construct yourself. So is that using GPTs from?
Yes, correct. So I use the MyGPT platform, which is the marketplace of OpenAI, and I put in the terms that I wanted. So you can put the way you want. The EMR template is already there. So you must understand that everybody has uploaded. So that's how the squamous cell carcinoma got diagnosed, because people have already put up the image. So I don't need to reinvent the wheel. So it is just making sure you redact all your images. I've put up X-rays, so that's been pretty accurate so far. The only area, so we're doing another validation study now. We're putting up 10 clinical scenarios onto ChatGPT for the Omni version, because that's the multimodal version. And we're getting feedback that's very, very accurate, except for congenital conditions. Congenital condition is getting a lot of hallucination. And that's partly because there are certain aspects that I need to look into deeper. But for the others, I was just surprised. I put up a foot ulcer that was quite a difficult one, and I asked it to say how to reconstruct this. I gave it a little bit of history, and it came up with 3 options. And the second option is the one that I used, and the other 2 were good, but the other 2 were too expensive. So I was really impressed. So we are using it now as higher order thinking, scenario planning, scenario cases for exams, for assessment, and we are using it to even assess the exam. So I'm telling, so that's why we're working with some of the universities, even in non-medical. So in APU for engineers and technology, we are bringing in OSCEs for them. Because one of the dangers about assessment now is, how do you know that this student just didn't do the assignment using ChatGPT? So what if he did ChatGPT? Let him do it. I'll then ask you on a Viva session, you have to give me, did you understand what it is? I don't care how you learned it, as long as you learned it. That's all we want in education. So it's going to let us do what we do best, which is to care for our patients and not waste our time with administrative rubbish that there's so many pain points in healthcare. And I am
Yeah.
really enjoying my 100 patient clinic nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Can your system handle different dialects, when you're
Yes.
documenting? That is my
Excellent.
pain point. Yeah, that was
Yes,
my pain
yes.
point.
So
Marvelous.
I do most of my workshops in the English language. I've done in Malay. I'll tell you an interesting story. So I work with the Ministry of MOSTI, Ministry of Science Malaysia. I don't know whether I can say. So anyway, one of them, very senior person, had to submit a document to the PM. And they have written the document, a 195-page document in Malay. And they went to Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka to convert it. Dewan Bahasa wanted 3 months to convert to Bahasa. So she wrote to me and said, "Can you do it?" I said, "Hey, I know I tak tahu Melayu, tak tahu." So I put in through ChatGPT. It took about an hour and a half because I had to convert. It was not just a document; it was a PowerPoint slide. So I had to convert it, and we converted it. And I did it within 2 hours, but I only gave it to her the next day. And I said my whole team spent the whole night on it, and she accepted it. So it is very interesting. If you notice just now the clinical simulator. That voice was a Chinese female. The accent is a bit Chinese because I did that simulation while I was in Singapore. So it understood my IP address and gave it to me in Chinese. I tried it similarly in Cambodia. It came out in British English. So that's how it's learning from the background and stuff like that. So I've done my health education program in Chinese, in Tamil. I can speak Tamil, but I can't write, but it came out beautifully in Tamil. So I think this is where, I was running this workshop at one of the hospitals in Singapore. I didn't realize 4 patient education officers were there, and they were just, their jaws dropped, and they said, "What's happening to us? Are we going to be out of a job?" I said, "No, you should be using this instead of taking 1 week to come up with a patient education program. Why don't you do it in 1 hour and do more?" So the thing is, you're going to become extremely productive.
Yes.
And I warn everybody, it is addictive. Ellen will agree. It is so addictive. I think he spends so much of time. His wife is quite pissed off with him for spending so much time. Why is it addictive? It's because of dopamine. Because what took you 1 hour to do when you can do it, 1 week to do, and you do it in an hour, you have a satisfaction. So that is a addiction that makes you want to do it more and more. So that's why I spend 3.5 hours a day on this and 8 hours or 10 hours in the weekend.
I'm in a similar boat and similar trouble. Yeah. Is there time to share anything, Prof. Sulo?
Yeah, if anybody wants to share, it's fine, because we are still ahead of time. We have about an extra 10 minutes or 9 minutes, actually.
Yeah, I have actually my own passion also is in patient education and trying to get them to learn on their own. I'm a bit of a cheapskate. I'm from Penang, Baikuntan, as you probably know. So we don't like to subscribe to too expensive services, but I probably have to explore GPTs. But anyway, this one, because it's a pay once only service, which I managed to purchase, and I could construct train the ChatGPT chatbots, for my patients who usually when they go home, they got questions which they forgot to ask in the clinic. So in my specialty, which is hematology, I decided to put up a series of chatbots. So I don't know whether I can share it maybe here.
Yeah, if you can share it, why not?
Yeah, if you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I have Amanda there. I don't know whether you can hear her, whether there's sound, but Amanda can speak in different languages. So, right, including Chinese, I don't know, there's no Malay, but there's Indonesian. So she can do like real-time translation as she speaks. So this is just a general bot, but I also have trained bots for various topics, and it's actually trained ChatGPT because we can upload documents, PDFs, and even websites. So it will learn from that. And I've tested it. It's not too bad. We can actually, if you want to go and test them yourself, feel free. These are all put up free on my website for people. So it's dralante.net/info, and feel free to test and critique it if you like. I'll just stop the share because I think I'm going to take too much people's time.
Okay, I have a question from anyone else? I don't see anything in the chat box.
So this is, I put the link in the chat box if anybody wants, yeah.
I think one of the important things, Alan, I think you brought up is very important. So one of the aspects is the validation. So we need to validate. So that's where the great opportunity for low-hanging fruit research to be done. So this is what we are doing now. So all these chatbot, what is the information giving? It is correct. So we're using an expert review panel, at least 3 to 5 people, to review the responses and mark it, and then see what it is. So as long as they are reaching 85, 90%, if you really want to be hard, you want to go up to 95% accuracy, then it's a validation. So once it's validated, you can say that it's validated. So one of the advantages of the ChatGPT 4.0 is if you put in your instructions and the guardrails prior by saying that if the user starts the conversation in his own language, the response will respond automatically in that language. So at the current moment, the desktop versions doesn't have a microphone input into that, whereas the version on the phone, both the Android and the iPhone, you have a button there that you can just speak to it. As you speak to it, it then converses with you. So I didn't share some other videos. So we've got one where you can have a true conversation. So in the workshop that we are running in Penang, we are giving companions to elderly people who are alone. So I've devised certain things where they can just press the button and keep talking to it. So I have had conversations. I pretended to be an elderly accountant, retired and all that. And I say, I'm very lonely. All my friends are dead and nobody comes and visits me. And he started having a conversation, and I spent 15 minutes having an engaging conversation because it understood who I was. I gave it a bit of a background to myself, and he started talking to me about areas of interest, and he talks about corporate governance, what is your view? And so I said, wow, oh, good, you're quite intelligent, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think you should, Alan, I really urge you, stop drinking coffee, 100 ringgit a month, get the 4.0.
4.0, by the way, I think they have released it free, so you can upload images, but there's certain limit.
But
like
it's limited
8,
to
10,
5.
per
You
4
can't
hours.
design. You can't design your own because you're quite innovative. You want to create your own chatbots, and now the beauty of it is the ones you have created, the bespoke chatbot. Say you've done one for chronic myeloid leukemia. That's not from your info, but we are using the ChatGPT. You only the paid versions can create, but the free people can use. So that's the beauty. So that's how I think OpenAI model is. So I just before this I had a grant meeting, and I assume I got the grant. So we are creating a diagnostic chatbot for for carpal tunnel, but our hospitals are very, very strict. They won't allow it to be in the OpenAI. So we're taking the money to try and create an API to keep it within the institutional ecosystem. So I don't have expertise for that. So we're going to farm it out to a group. And so if that comes in, so that's how I think you want to approach it. So like, for example, you want to keep it within Subang Jaya, but if you're working, if your loyalty is towards your institution, then you can keep it within that. And that's a marketing strategy for that. I think why you want this, so that at least all the mundane questions are taken care of with the chatbot, and then they come to you with the more difficult questions, and we can spend more time rather than answering what is leukemia and things like that. Let's you do that first in a simple way. Yes, they can do that with your Google, but that's going to take a lot of effort, and you don't know, it's not validated. The problem with Google is the validation. So I think here, if you've done the validation with a few samples, then you are pretty confident that yours is a validated instrument that can be used safely, ethically, and morally in the clinical environment.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Allen, you're going to subscribe to the ChatGPT 4.0, I assume?
Well, we evaluating it. Yeah, evaluating it.
Okay. Yeah. You can buy for 1 month and try, and then if you're not happy, you can cancel the subscription.
Yeah, I did actually use the API for to make it into a chatbot for my Telegram group. So that was cheaper because it just
Yeah.
use pay per use. But this one subscription is $20
per month.
per
Yeah.
month. So it is quite
So,
hefty.
having said that, this is an investment in yourself. And I'll
Mm.
tell you the surprising thing. We ran a workshop in Sri Lanka early March this year. We had 500 teachers from Sri Lanka, a poor country. 40% of them purchased by 10:30 in the morning. They already purchased the paid version of GPT because they saw the value in it. And they are now training their own people. So we did the train-the-trainer program. The first batch will be graduate. So they are carrying on teaching the others. So they want to teach 10,000 people by the year end.
Fabulous. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we move on to the fifth speaker, who is Dr. Seguren. Just let me get this out. Okay, Dr. Seguren received his graduate and postgraduate studies in the UK, Australia, and Malaysia. He taught for the Royal Commission colleges and universities in Yanbu, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in the immediate past 9 years, and held the post of assistant professor. He taught research methods as a teaching unit and supervised students' dissertations and theses. He also taught statistical and quantitative analysis for the MBA program of Indianapolis University at Yanbu campus, and is very competent in using machine learning with Python, SPSS, and other software analysis tools. Currently, he holds the position of associate professor and program leader at Binary University and conducts a quantitative data management workshops regularly for postgraduate students, besides being an examiner and supervisor of theses. His research interests include time series analysis of stock markets. And if anybody wants a tip on the stock market, he's the person to talk to. And he has a few papers published. He's a fellow of the Royal Statistical Society, UK, public accountant and financial accountant, UK, public accountant, Australia. So Dr. Seguren, the floor is yours for about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor Sulu. And welcome and greetings to all those participants here, and also special thanks to all the presenters, Dr. Alan, Dr. Elaine, Dr. Dilashini, and Dr. Raja. And very thanks to you, and also all those audience, especially those doctors who have taken time off from their busy schedule. Once again, thanks to you. Now, we cannot run away based on what Dr. Raja and Dr. Alam just says, that we are already into digital technology. And we are into digital technology. And if we were to look at this a few years ago, in fact, a decade ago, we will say, is it possible that a machine can take over human intelligence? Now we see it here. Now, is this idea behind human intelligence and digital technology and digital intelligence, are they... Sorry for that.
Just a little bit of musical chairs.
We have a musical chairs here. We need to... Okay. I can also look at this also. So what we saw a couple of years ago is a reality now. And earlier we were saying, can AI replace doctors, the professional doctors? Now, we can ask back the same question. A couple of years ago, can a car be driven driverless? Now we are facing a situation in a similar time zone. Now, in the future, is it possible? Answer is yes. Is there any indication? Answer may also be yes. Now, we come across a lot of this ChatGPT discussion. Now, that is looks like a starting point. And can ChatGPT replaced a doctor. That was a theme of the first presenter, Dr. Alan. Now, all these are in ourselves now. Now, is using AI into healthcare. How are we to take it? No, I use the word we, not from the doctor's point of view, we as a patient. Now, using AI is currently we are all well aware. If you are familiar with a smartphone, that is typically using AI. Now, if you're using any other devices, any other, what do you call these applications, apps, we are still using AI. Now, it comes to the fundamental question here. Can we divide this AI into grouping? Now, current use of AI can be divided into generative AI. I think most of us are quite familiar. Text, imaging, music creation. These are all based on patterns. Now, most of the time in hospitals now, we use predictive AI. Okay, what is predictive AI now? We use a lot of data, vast amount of data. And earlier, ChatGPT also uses vast amount of data, okay, to do a prediction. And again, from Dr. Raja, who said, pretty accurate. You see, data by nature, you've got to use the word pretty accurate. It cannot be 100% perfect. So that word was rightly used by Dr. Raja. Now, we come back from a statistical point of view. What is this called machine learning? We are talking about so much of this machine learning. How does it learn, actually? Now, the very basic understanding here is the data itself. So it cannot be better than the data. So it cannot be better, isn't it? So what normally we look at, so your output, we call it output here, cannot be better than your data. So it practically takes the data, trains the data. So I use the word trains the data, and then you have the output. So in other words, if the data changes, the output also changes. So this is the fundamental principle behind which machine learning, or we also call it AI, works. Now, what happens to data? Data can be perfect, as we said earlier. There might be some issues with the data itself. And when there are issues with the data, so what happens? Errors are introduced. Now, if there are errors introduced, so as a medical practitioner, there is always a necessity to understand error. So when we fit the model, the doctor should analyze whether it is overfitting the data or underfitting the data. This is a very important consideration, because why? The pretty accurate here reflects your types of error. How confident are you with your data? What is that error that comes along with your analysis? Now, why this error analysis is important? At the end of the day, you are going to make a prediction. Okay, the prediction must be pretty accurate. The word is pretty accurate. Now, what happens if there is an issue with the data? Okay, earlier, Dr. Allen has shown us when he put in a case history, he got a set of ranking. So you can select from the rank. So at the end of the day, at the right current moment, AI cannot take over human intelligence. Now, in the future, we don't know, because it is a case of driverless car, which I've mentioned earlier. Okay, so now here we talk about predictive AI, which is widely used in the hospital environment. Now, what happens if are there any application in the hospital where there's no influence of the doctor? Answer is yes. There are many areas where AI is used where the input of the doctors are not required. Okay, so what I'm going to do here now, I'm going to go through a couple of examples from throughout the world and see whether they have successfully applied. And we can always see from here, what is the major issue in these applications? Okay, now let us look at the first one here. Okay, next. Okay, the first one here. Why did you turn off your screen? Okay, next one here. Is it? Okay, that's the one. See? Now, the current decision models we are applying, and the doctors who are just mentioned, Dr. Raja and Dr. Alam mentioned, we call it augmented decision making. So in other words, that the AI is only used as a support. So the end of the day, the doctor makes a decision. Whereas some aspects of a hospital application use automated decisions. So if you can look at that current use of AI, where do they use? Now, some hospitals, even in Malaysia, they're using automated rostering of staff. Okay, this is already one aspect of automation in hospital environment. We are not talking about the doctor's side, but the other aspects of healthcare. Okay, next one here about staff information. Decision making, is it? To improve efficiency and personnel allocation. Okay, now, some of the examples here I'm going to mention is one is Google AI research. I think this has been done, I think by Dr. Alam. I think he has already mentioned this, Google AI research. So we're not going to go into that. And they are using deep learning model. Normally we call CNN, is it? CNN is an example of a deep learning model where they used to predict breast cancer. I think, and also they said, is it risk and more accurately than tradition. Now, of course, it cannot overtake the doctor's position now, but they can only support. Okay, the other one here, that diabetic prevention. Now, this is something very exciting here. Now, Deep Mind Health Project. Now, we have collaborated with Moorfield Eye Hospital. Now, they look at the retinal scans to predict diabetic retinopathy. This is another very good example here. Okay, another one more example is Mayo Clinic develop a heart logic. See, it is able to analyze multiple heart failure, biomarkers, and identify patterns. I think something of this nature for cancer was already mentioned by Dr. Elaine. Okay, next. Okay, next one we call about blue dot. What is this blue dot? This is surprise. This is a very surprising information. I suppose also surprise to also the medical fraternity. Now, what is this blue dot? Now, according to this website, they said they have predicted COVID even prior to even World Health Organization announced. They say even prior, they have already informed their clients. Of course, how reliable is this information? I'm not privy to that. But this is what they say. They're using algorithms, which is typically a machine learning algorithm. Okay, they have seen unusual infection, pneumonia in this case, spread in a certain country. Of course, we don't want to mention the country. I suppose all of us roughly know which I'm referring to. Okay, there's another one, a beautiful application in mental health hospitals. Now, you look at Stanford University researchers. How do they use that? Now, when a doctor, a psychiatrist is talking to the patient, now they have an algorithm. When one side they have a speech algorithm, on the other side they have a video algorithm. Now, these algorithms are able to see the changes in pattern as the doctor is talking to the patient. So relieving the doctor on observing some other issues, and then it comes with the analysis. So we have this algorithm by Stanford University researchers. Okay, next one. Okay, another one more in management, I think, Common Spirit Health and Winston-Salem now. They are using technology to tackle staff shortage. You see, they have been using a lot. Okay, next one. University of Chicago Medicine. Okay, ED here. They are also using AI. In what area? Okay, reduce patient wait time. So in the ED department, they are using AI modeling to analyze predicting patient search and adjusting staff level and so on. So of course, this will relieve the tension and pressure on the staffs. Okay, next one. Okay, next one here, Cleveland clinics. You see, they are also using what you call this predictive analytics. I use the word predictive, that is based on machine learning and data analysis to optimize nurse staffing. Now, the one advantage is to reduce a nurse burnout. Yes, they said yes, it has reduced nurse burnout. Okay, the next one here from MIT General Hospital. Now, what are they using here? Now, they're using okay, streamline supply chain operation and in the operation room to optimize the surgical instrument and reduce wastage. Okay, that is another one more. Okay, next. Okay, we have personalized treatment. We have a lot of softwares to handle personalized treatment. Like if you look at the LearnNet, AlexNet, VGG19, Google LearnNet, and ResNet. These are all the softwares that can handle deep learning. But for personalized. Okay, next one we come to Moxie. Now, what is this called Moxie? Now, Moxie is a sort of a robot that supports and assists in the hospital environment. For example, if a person is not able to stand, of course, we see them having all those gadgets tied down to their legs and hands and arms, allowing even what do you call this wheelchair-bound patient to stand and walk. So we have a lot of this sort of system. There's a lot of names given, that Da Vinci surgical system. Then we also hospital robots, surgical assist robots. These are exactly helping the surgeons in the operations. When we look at surgical assist robots, now look at Mayo Clinic. What have they done? You see, they have improved improvement in the prostate surgery, and also they use robotic in surgery rather than open what you call open surgery. They just use two small incision and then put in some small robotic arms. They can do the operation, and very much faster. The recovery rate seems to be exceptionally faster based on those the doctors who do that. I think the name is given there, Relafson. The other one is a bladder surgery. Also, they do it very fast. These are all based on AI, but it is supported. AI is only a supporting device. Actually, the operators, like a game playing, the operators are mostly, sorry, all the operators are doctors. Next one. Okay, next one. Resource allocation in public health emergencies. Now, New York Presbyterian Hospital is using that in ICU. Look at the patterns in demand and capacity for capacity planning. Okay, coming back to Singapore, I'm not very sure Dr. Raja. Dr. Raja has given a new example that I couldn't capture in the Google search and so on. But there's one example I saw, maybe Dr. Raja can confirm this later. Now, here they said next year or this year. Okay. Slightly the same slide. Not the same slide. No. Okay. Okay. In Singapore, here they said they will be using AI in emergency department soon. I'm not very sure. Okay, how soon? Based on this data, they said in the year 2024. So are they in use? I'm not very sure. I think Dr. Raja is the best person to know that. Okay, let us come to Malaysian environment. Are they using AI? Now, currently UKM, University of Bangsa, Malaysia, December last year and this year, they procured two instruments. One is a fluoroscopy, the other one is angiography. Now, the cost is 9.2 million, although this said, based on the Vice Chancellor, UKM Vice Chancellor, they said the work is very fast, more efficient, more accurate, and diagnosis and treatment are very fast. And improving quality, and also the number of patients they cover is higher. And doctors, especially the radiologists, are spending more time with the patients. Now, that is a plus point there. Of course, this is a machine, it's an artificial intelligence based machines. This is based February 2024, Hospital Chancellor Tuanku, Mukris, HTM. I don't know some of the audience here from there. I'm not very sure. Okay, next one. This is again a new information. Huawei Malaysia. During the COVID period, surprisingly, Huawei has helped the Ministry of Health in coming up with a Huawei Cloud AI assisted diagnosis solution for COVID-19 hospital in Malaysia. Okay, so these are the two quick examples I can catch on. Okay. Then we also have the other models, we have Sears model and so on. Next. Now, looking at all these applications, there are always a plus points here, and then we say these are all the future which is starting now. Now, but are there issues there? Definitely there are issues here. Now, investing, and we come across Dr. Raja, Dr. Alan, Ilian, and so on, coming up with the functional areas, like Dr. Raja, being an orthopedic, he has come up with an improved version of AI and how to handle a specific case. And of course, Dr. Alam also has something very specialized. Now, the biggest problem here now is how do you integrate all this data? Now, who is going to maintain the data? That is a very important question. Who is going to integrate? Now, who is going to bear the cost? Does the government going to come in? Now, of course, when the government comes in, they are going to look at the benefit to cost. And under the current situation, is it possible? Next one, are doctors willing to be trained as AI personnel? Now, after undergoing years and years of training, are they also open to learning a little bit more on AI? And we need to appreciate Dr. Alam and Dr. Raja for that. Because at this age, Dr. Raja says he's also learning, it's a day-to-day learning. So that is a beauty we hear. But what about the youngsters? They are spending so much time, the workload in the hospital is so great. Now, do they have the time to learn? Now, without a good participation from the doctors and the machine learning experts, or we call AI experts, or we call data scientists, if there's no collaboration between these, you can't code. So coding is very, very important. Now, of course, when you do a data, now my focus is on data again. When you do a data, now the data can be unstructured and can be structured. So when a data is unstructured, we want a coder who must be a medical specialist and sitting with the data scientist to see what is the best way to code the unstructured data. Of course, when there's a structured data, now entry of the data structure also requires a coding. Now, there must be some uniformity of coding. Do we have it now? Now, assuming somebody makes a mistake in the coding, now who is going to take the legal implication? See, there are many issues that we are going to face here. So immediate transfer from from AI application, widening, I think for the time, I think it may not be a reality. Of course, Dr. Raja and Alan, on an individual basis, you put the effort, like Raja do a lot of training. Okay, that is a beauty. Now, but how many of us will take that training and use it in our daily life? Okay, that is a big question. Now, there are some researchers who have done research in the Malaysian context among medical medical students. Now, do you think AI helps in your workload? Answer is yes. Do you fear using AI in your workload? Answer is yes. So where does the fear comes from? This fear need to be removed from the medical fraternity before this can be used on a larger scale. So these are some of the barriers that we finding very, very difficult to break in the current context. Now, if you look at the regulatory compliance, do we have any form of a data security now in Malaysia? Now, the data security we have in Malaysia, they are not specifically made for AI or digital learning. So where does the security comes from? Now, especially when a litigation occurs, now there must be some responsibility now. Who? So again, these are the issues, and then of course you talk about expertise and training. Now, these are uses a lot of cost. Now, who is going to bear the cost? So at the current environment, can Malaysia take it AI as an in thing for the future, the answer may not be there. Now, from my analysis, when I saw the website of MOH and other providers, they said there is an allocation. And of course, any researchers want to go and tap the allocation, we are always willing to support. But AI is not about allocation, it's about all concerned personnel coming together. Without all these persons coming together, what is this allocation? So that there must be some leader who gives us a direction to consolidate all the information, but which is lacking in the Malaysian context here. Now, what about outside the country? Now, even outside the country, even from UK, the earlier presenter, Dr. Dilashini's point of view, they are all what you call departmental based. There's no interlink of data. Surprisingly, Manchester U as one of the fastest computing, what do you call this, computers in the world. Yet they are not doing it. So again comes to integration of data. So these are some of the issues. And of course, we can see the benefits of AI. Now we look at from management point of view, we look at benefit. Of course, there are a lot of benefits now. And what about the current cost there? The current cost is just too much to bear. And what about the future? We leave it to the top leaders, maybe the Ministry of Education, which is now tied down to even what you call sanctioning the specialist program. So where are they going to come for the cost? And we also have doctors who are already saying that overworked and underpaid. So where do you going to get this extra, what do you call this, budget? So under the current situation, my assessment on this is it is still in an infancy stage. It's in a very early stage. And it will be another 10, maybe 15 years where it will have a fast start. Now, in the meantime, of course, there must be some a training program established. And from Dr. Dilashini said earlier, pathologists in UK, they are supposed to take a program in machine learning, not AI, because AI is very broad. So it can be CNN, machine learning, long-term, short-term memory, and so on. So they want specifically machine learning. Why? Because you handle the data. And understanding of error. No, probability of making error is very important. We just can't say, oh, all these days it works, so the next person I'm going to interview is going to work. What happens if that one doesn't work? So this issue comes along, and I feel it is a long process before AI comes into our daily life in the healthcare. Not just going to chat GPT and just getting some information. Oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to go. And helping. These are more support. It is not what you call a comprehensive solution to our healthcare system now. Okay, I think that's all I have. And if you have any other question, if you look at my slides, it covers much more wider ground, like W Health Organization, to safeguard this data. They have come up with some principles. I think there are about 5 or 6 principles. I think Dr. Raja should be much aware of this. And I think he also talked about that. So World Health Organization, they have some principles. It is only principles. It has not been converted into some actual practices, It's the best practices. Not yet. It's only a principle. You want to take it, you take it. So what about Malaysian position there? So far, based on the Director of Health Malaysia, there's no information on getting specific instruction on what do you call this AI usage. They say current current laws and regulations are sufficient. The current laws are not sufficient. If you look at data, our normal data protection acts, how can you protect AI generated? Because it is not a normal input, it is a collaboration of so many persons along the way. So that cannot work. So this need to be changed for all those AI to come into very efficiently useful. Okay, then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Segaran. Are there any comments from anybody, speakers, or for other presenters? Any comments or questions?
Any
Can you
questions?
turn off the slide, please?
Slide.
Switch off.
Any questions here? No.
Okay, we will go to the final speaker for today's session, who is Dr. Lorenzo Christopher, and he's an obstetrician and gynecologist. He obtained his Bachelor of Medicine and his MBBS from IMU, and is a member of the Royal College of Obstetrician and Gynecology from London. He's currently the secretary of the Malaysian Obstetrics Medicine Society. He describes himself as a dedicated obstetrician and gynecologist with experience in women's healthcare, particularly in managing high-risk pregnancies. Passionate about providing comprehensive and passionate care to women at all stages of life. His special interest is the integration of IT in medicine, and he's committed to continuous learning and professional development. The floor is yours, Dr. Lorenzo. Hi, Dr. Lorenzo. Yes.
Hi, Prof. Thank you so much for the kind introduction and inviting me to be part of this symposium. So I'll be talking about AI in obstetrics and gynecology, revolutionizing women's healthcare. We shall start. So before I proceed further, just like to declare a few things. These are the companies that I've taken as an example. I don't have any affiliation with this company. It's purely for educational purpose for this symposium. So the content of my talk today is going to be introduction to AI in OBGYN, current practices in OBGYN, where are we now, followed by the Malaysian chapter, and we'll be ending with a conclusion. So this is a picture taken in my recent workshop. I was a course convener for AI in OBGYN in Kota Kinabalu for OGSM Congress that happened recently. And just like to quote something, AI is not going to replace physicians, but physicians who use AI are going to replace physicians who don't. And that may be a cautionary tale. This is from the Dr. Kate Howard. An introduction to AI in OBGYN. So the phrase artificial intelligence was first coined in a Dartmouth College conference in New Hampshire in US in 1956. So back then, there was a spark of interest, and then what happened was, due to loss of interest and lack of funding, they went into a pause where they called it as an AI winter. And then subsequently, somewhere around about 1970, 1980s, this is where it progressed. I'm not sure whether any speaker spoke about it. So it started off with MyScene, where AI was used in cultures identifying antibiotics, culture insensitivity. So then it started off from there. Whereas in the field of obstetrics and gynecology, the earliest example of AI was the development of computer-aided diagnostic systems for ultrasound images back in the 1970s and 80s. So this software has actually assisted physicians in identifying fetal anomalies and other conditions, which eventually progressed about probably 10 years ago, where there were scan machines that automatically can calculate your the fetal parameters and somewhat identify any obvious anomalies. And primary areas where artificial intelligence and machine learning are being used is where placenta or fetal organs analysis with high accuracy, and cardiotocograph monitoring intrapartum, and gynecology oncology regarding women cancer prognosis, and use of AI in colposcopy. And last but not least is the AI-assisted IVF. So as we go on, we'll dwell into all these subtopics. And certainly that ONG is known very much for litigation. We are one of the, I think, one of the clinicians who actually take litigation insurance at a very high cost. So this use of AI actually would help in litigation as well. And current practices in obstetrics and gynecology. So we'll look into postpartum management, gynecological surgeries. I think one of the speakers spoke about the robotic surgeries and artificial reproductive technology, gynecology, oncology, holomedicine. This is more of surgical-based learning and learning in classroom for postgraduate programs, and fetal heart rate monitoring and pregnancy surveillance. So there is a paper regarding AI in Ops and Gyn about the overview, what is the current practice and what is the update. It was done back in 2020. So this study actually says that AI has the potential to guide practitioners in decision making, reaching a diagnosis and improving case management. So it certainly can reduce the healthcare costs by decreasing medical errors, providing more dependable predictions. AI system can accurately provide information on the large array of patients in clinical settings, although more robust data is required. So first of all, we will look into fetal heart rate monitoring and pregnancy surveillance. I think most of us here are healthcare professionals. So as we know that any women who goes into labor will have the baby's heart rate being monitored, which is called a CTG. What happens, how they have incorporated AI into this is that the analysis of the graph itself, if you can see the graph over here, so this is an abnormal CTG pattern. So this AI is designed to identify any abnormalities, or we call it suspicious or pathological CTGs that may require imminent delivery via instrumental or cesarean section deliveries. So the aim of this technology is actually to reduce discrepancies, because although there are guidelines that saying talks about interpretation of CTGs, however, this is it's a very wide spectrum, and certain practitioners use different guidelines and different methods. Hence, it varies. So it's actually the aim of this is to reduce the discrepancy and improve the reliability. And hence, because of this can potentially decrease the maternal and perinatal complications. One of the study that actually, it's quite of a big study that was done in China. It's called CTG-NET, where automatic analysis of fetal heart rate from CTG using AI. So this is a study that was recently done 2 years ago, back in 2022, that investigates the efficacy of fetal heart rate signals based in AI to obtain a baseline calculation and identify accelerations or deceleration in the fetal heart rate through electronic fetal heart rate monitoring in labor. So what's the conclusion from this study is that the proposed AI-based method for the CTG-NET delivers a good performance in terms of automatic analysis of fetal heart rate based on the CTG data. So it promises to be a key component of smart obstetric system of the future. I've not seen in Malaysia yet. We're moving on to the Malaysia chapter later on of what is more common here. So these are where are we now in terms of the ONG fraternity. And as you can see, what does the CTG-NET software does is that it gets a CTG data based on the fetal heart rate, fetal movement, uterine contraction, and the fetal heart sound. So this goes into a processing phase where deionizing, removal of all these artifacts and all that. So this goes into a deep learning. Deep learning, which is, I'm sure you guys are very well familiar with it. It's a part of the subset of a machine learning. So hence it comes out with a prediction. So these prediction are actually compared with experts and expected labels, and eventually it generates the outcome. And so prediction of the proposed model will compare with the results. That's the end part of it. Another study, this was actually a study of intelligence system to support decision making and the management of labor using CTG. This is actually a randomized control trial was done back in 2016 with a large number of subjects, about 46,000. So this trial actually tests whether the addition of decision support software to aid the interpretation of CTG during labor will reduce the number of poor neonatal outcome in those women judged to require continuous electronic fetal heart rate monitoring. Just a brief add-on about the continuous electronic fetal heart rate monitoring. So any women who goes into labor, they'll have paper tracing done hourly or 2 hourly, depending on their risk factors. However, some centers practice continuous electronic fetal heart rate monitoring for high-risk patients, which means that throughout the labor, that this fetal heart rate pattern will be monitored as they are considered as a high-risk case. So based on this study, what it says is that the result of this trial will have importance for pregnant women and for health professionals who provide care for them. That means this actually has an impact on fetal outcome of these patients that they studied. Moving on to the next chapter, or rather a sub of gynecology, which is gynecology oncology. And the use of AI, as you can see that it's subdivided into ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, vulvar cancer, vaginal cancer, and cervical cancer. And what does AI, how does AI help? It actually improves the accuracy and speed of cancer diagnosis. An AI algorithm actually analyzes images of tissue samples to identify the presence of malignant cells and predict the likelihood of positive outcomes. There is two papers that I quoted here. The first one is Anshe. Anshe actually says about predict cancer survival with 97% accuracy, and it predicts most effective treatment according to the diagnosis of patient. So when we talk about women cancer, it has multiple cancer, and to be just for example, ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer is it has many subtypes. It's very heterogeneous. Hence, your prognosis can vary depending on the type of the cancer, stage of the cancer, and the strength of the cancer. So this study was done in 2015, where ANN, the artificial neural network algorithm, it's capable of predicting survival with high accuracy, 93%. So how does this help in patient care and patient outcome? As we are moving into a very fast-paced world, we want a very much personalized treatment plan for these patients. Hence, this actually aids in terms of prognosis and a specific treatment plan that's required for any particular patient and any particular malignancy. Next is Norwitz. I think I shared this paper way earlier. So it says that this software can predict prognosis more precisely. Moving on, next we'll be talking about the artificial reproductive technology, which is another sub of OBGYN. So artificial intelligence and machine learning being applied in the selection for embryos for transfer during IVF. So as we know that couples who have fertility problems will go through a series of investigation, which eventually will lead to IVF or other intervention. So this AI actually helps in IVF. So what happens is that once the IVF is done, the embryos are formed. When embryos are formed, the embryologist actually will go through via the microscope of which is the best embryo to be transferred that actually gives the higher fertility rate. Hence, it is very subjective based on the embryologist's experience and past histories and all that. Hence, it's very much depending on the person who does this. However, AI actually, they have come up with an algorithm where it can predict which embryos are the most likely to result in a successful pregnancy. There's Manna et al. This paper. So they actually, what they do, they capture all the embryos, and based on that, the fertility rate, so the mapping will be done, and eventually it tells us which embryo that's transferred will have a higher success rate, pregnancy success rate. Other things that this study looked into as well, optimization of culture conditions for embryos and optimal time for transfer of embryos for successful pregnancy. Other areas being explored in terms of ART, predicting the likelihood of an ovarian reserve. As we know that some women who have fertility problems, they have very poor ovarian reserve. They have a certain method of calculation incorporating multiple factors and eventually coming up with a scoring system saying identifying the ovarian reserve and also identifying the ovulation timing. How overall that AI helps in ART is that they actually improve the efficiency and cost effectiveness for fertility clinics. Why is that so? Because when one embryologists go through an embryo and decides based on their experience, whereas AI actually gets everything go through everything thoroughly and decide which embryo needs to be transferred. We'll dwell more into this later on, which this is being actually done in Malaysia as well. There's one study done by Mikhail where embryo selection with artificial intelligence, how to evaluate and compare methods. So this actually goes through, they explain everything about the mapping that has been done and how eventually they came to a conclusion that AI actually helps in this. Next, we shall move on to gynecological surgeries. I think Dr. Sangren was talking about robotic surgery. So robotic surgery, as you can see, this is the Da Vinci. The surgeons are actually operating through the console over here. And this is the operating table with the patient and the instruments. So what happens is that it's very similar to laparoscopy, but what is the difference is that robotic surgery has a very fine movement, cutting, and which actually makes more precise incisions and improve the patient outcome. And also, the other one, as you can see the picture above here, this is one of the pre-congress workshop that I did with Microsoft team, where they give a real-time guidance during the procedure. So what happens is that you have to wear this goggles over there, and what happens is you can see the CT image, and you can actually use this cube to dissect in which sagittal, coronal, whichever plane that you want. And you can actually take the image and you can map it to the patient. How does this help in gynecology is that, for example, patients with endometriosis who are going for a surgery, so you can actually do an MRI and identify these lesions in the abdomen that you would want to operate on, and you can map it into a real patient. Hence, it's very useful for the surgeon who's going to operate on the patient. And it does image analysis as well, where automatically segment and identify structures in the medical images, the tumor, blood vessel. In gynecology, the example I gave was the endometriosis. Moving on to the Malaysian chapter, Da Vinci robotic surgery is actually we do have in Malaysia. And if I'm not mistaken, in the public service, there's only HKL. I may be wrong, but this is what I've heard. But in private practice, it's being practiced in quite a number of places. It does perform specific tasks such as suturing and cutting tissue with high degree of precision and accuracy. Not only that, it actually gives the surgeon real-time feedback to improve the outcome of the procedure for future patients. So these are the machines that can be programmed in advance for precise incision, control bleeding, and minimize tissue damage. So this is the same picture that was shown earlier, where the surgeons operate through the console. The patient is over here. Whereas these are the sort of things that you maneuver in order to operate on the patient. Next will be generative AI-powered virtual assistants for ONG patients. Actually, Key Reply it's a company that actually came up with this, where artificial intelligence is designed for postnatal care, and it's actually being used in private practices in Klang Valley. The main concern for the person who developed this was I'm sure that everyone goes through postpartum blues post-delivery. It's a matter whether you progress into a postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. So as you can see that 80% of pregnant women, 1 out of 5 women experience postnatal depression, and 80% of pregnant women rely heavily on digital sources, but only 60% find these sources useful and trustworthy. So how does this software work is that once it's been purchased by a private practice, so you can actually just drop a WhatsApp. This is a sample that actually I tried myself during the workshop. where you just send a hello and it will tell you that congratulations on your recent delivery. As a part of your postnatal care, we are at KR Hospital, please to take this journey and so on. So it actually guides you. It asks you how is your baby, how is your breastfeeding, and basically your postpartum journey analyzes and it gives solution. And if there's a need to see a doctor, then the thing will arrange it for you. All right, it's a very interesting thing that I think that many postpartum women would benefit from. Next is this is a rather busy slide. The AI in colposcopy. As we know that any women with abnormal cervical pap smear finding, so they would need to go for further assessment, which is called a colposcopy, where we put in this camera, will analyze the cervix, we'll visualize the cervix, how is the cervix exactly, and whether we need to take any biopsy or whatnot. So what this DYSIS map does is it's a computer-aided cervical mapping. It's a medical technology company that combines innovative computer-aided cervical mapping with an advanced colposcopy design to help the OBGYNs detect cervical lesions efficiently and direct the patient to the journey with greater assurance, which means it tells you what kind of lesion and where do we have to biopsy. As you can see here, over the right. So this is a DISYS colposcope equipped with high resolution digital camera that makes an image every 7 seconds during a colposcopy exam. And as you can see, the conventional colposcopy, I think most of us practice this. So you can see the cervix, how is it? The os opening and how does the cervix look like? Whereas in a DISYS, it actually maps for you which is a suspicious area, where you should biopsy, which is likely could be a CIN, cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, and so on. So this DISYS colposcopy is actually equipped with a computer that runs the proprietary software, which includes the dynamic spectral imaging technology known as the DISYS map, which actually maps the cervix and identifies what are the problems with the cervix requiring biopsy, where to biopsy, what angle, and so on. The benefit of this mapping system is it's quantified objective summary of aceto whitening. So when we do a colposcopy, we'll do a spray to see the uptake of cells that have high nucleotide activity. So that will be shined as white. So that actually objectively summarizes that. And map analysis tool to assist the interpretation and biopsy markers for guidance. Way back before, actually, there was a study done, an observational study of deep learning and automated evaluation of cervical images for cancer screening by Leming Hu. The conclusion of this study was it actually support consideration of automated visual evaluation of cervical images from contemporary digital cameras. So if achieved, this might permit dissemination of effective point of care, which actually we are there already at the moment. It's even available in Malaysia. One of the public hospitals in Malaysia were loaned this machine and they were using, but as usual, due to the financial constraints and all that, only some hospital has it. I'm not sure about private practice. I think some of the private practice own as well. Moving on, the AI in artificial reproductive technology, where this company, Genesis IVF, it's available in Penang. What they do is they do an embryo selection through the AI, as I explained earlier. So it is the process of evaluating the quality of fertilized embryos and selecting the best embryos available within a patient cohort for a subsequent transfer. And how does it work? That microscopic images of each blastocyst will be uploaded into the AI software. Within minutes, a definitive score, AI score, will be generated for each blastocyst based on its implantation potential and likelihood of creating pregnancy. And blastocysts with the highest score will be chosen for the transfer into the mother's womb, which subsequently leads to a pregnancy and a successful outcome. And the benefit of this is that patient going through IVF by using AI embryo selection can conceive more quickly because it actually chooses the best embryo that has been formed, and it reduces the number of IVF cycles. Hence, this reduces the cost as well. And at the same time, it helps identifying the most viable embryo and assist in the embryologist decision making. Indications to use AI-enhanced embryo selection is patients who have experienced implantation failures. There may be other causes as well, certainly that we have to investigate on those causes, other than incorporating AI into it. and patient who has more than one embryo available for selection for transfer. This is about use of holomedicine in learning in terms of surgical and also classroom learning, where holomedicine signifies the convergence of medicine and holography, yielding a 3D rendering of the human imaging. So this you can see, I worked with this Epocla company during the workshop. So they have the virtual reality and mixed reality, which is the augmented reality and the virtual reality. So we can see that the student, classroom, professor, and resident, so they can actually, for the student and the classroom, they will have virtual operating room, they have virtual classroom and learn surgical procedures based on education modules. Whereas the professors, they teach from anywhere, stream from BSI, and real-time streaming of live surgery, whereas the residents' hands-on tool, mixed reality, allows the real-world interaction. For the surgeons, as I explained earlier, where they can do a pre-surgical planning, they can actually have the virtual reality and identify which section they want to slice. They can do a 3D mapping, even with the patient on table, they can do the mapping. This has been done in Malaysia in a private practice where some liver surgery has been done. But now this company is actually looking to further expand their services to gynecology, where in terms of endometriosis. And in fact, I'm more of a obstetric guy. So we actually discussed that they can actually incorporate this into fetal MRI, where if there is any fetal anomalies that requiring fetal MRI, so that would aid us better in the management of the patient. And yeah, that's about it for this. So we're getting to the conclusion. So overall impact of AI in healthcare, certainly that it improves the diagnostic accuracy. It gives a very much personalized treatment plan, improved workflow efficiency, enhancing patients' experience. And another major concern is ethical and regulatory challenges. So as we know that how AI works through the machine learning and the neuronal learning and all this kind of things. So it incorporates a lot of data. So all this data are actually pre-made data that's available. So this is where we talk about patient confidentiality, where is it going to be breached, how the consent going to be, and I think this is something that we have to look upon into as it can be a major concern. Ultimately, it's actually the duty of the treating physician to be responsible of everything. Next is the responsibility of clinician to ensure that AI algorithms are developed and applied appropriately in terms of patient safety and so on. AI is not meant to replace practitioners, but rather serve as an adjunct in decision making. I think we have come to the end. Just a take-home message that AI is not a substitute for clinical experience. So ultimately, the clinician is the one who's deciding and has to be responsible for the patient decisions and clinical management. I think with that, I shall end my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lorenzo, for a very interesting presentation on the use of AI in OBGYN. And we can open the floor to any questions for a quick round of questions or comments. Otherwise, we'll have to pick up one of the questions that was there. I think there was one question from the floor, but I'm not sure who it was addressed to. Can you read the question, Asif?
Yeah. It said that what is the app to create patient simulation for medical education?
Anyone can answer that? I'm not sure whether Dr. Rajaratnam is still with us. I'm not sure whether they have left.
I think Dr. Allen spoke about it earlier. Dr. Allen and Dr. Rajaratnam. I think they'll be better in providing it, but unfortunately, I think they have left the symposium.
They've left.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to get that answer and send it to Dr. T for to Dr.
Kek.
Dr. Kek.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments or questions before we close the session? Okay, if there are no more questions and comments, first of all, I want to thank all my panelists, those who are present, and those who have left the symposium, which is understandable. It's already 5:30, it's almost 5:30, and most people have left. The timing is not the best for organizing a symposium, especially for medical practitioners. We realize that, and we've been, so we look forward to more deliberations. We have a center for AI and data analytics. So we hope that we can have more discussions with Dr. T. And I want to thank Dr. T for coming on board with us so that we managed to achieve our objectives of taking these deliberations to the target group, that is the medical practitioners, and to also basically increase awareness as well as to inform the medical fraternity of the importance of AI. And the good news from what I hear from the presenters is that AI is not going to replace the doctors, but they will actually, it will actually complement doctors and assist doctors in improving patient outcomes. And with that, I want to conclude. And I do not know whether Dr. T has got any comments to say, because they have not said anything. Fiona, do you want to say something in conclusion? Fiona? Fiona, you're still with us?
Yes, Prof, I'm here.
Yeah,
But
maybe you just want to give a few concluding remarks.
no, Doctor. No, Prof.
Okay, if that's the case, then we will just end the symposium, which is our first attempt to work with Dr. T. And I hope there will be many more future collaborations. And Dr. T is also free to reach out to us. We're a university, and we can work with you on any topic that's related to healthcare. So thank you very much. And thanks to all my presenters, many of them who have gone home. And thank you, Dr. Lorenzo. I know after your office hours, but thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Prof. And thank you again for inviting me to be part of this symposium.
Thank you. So we will end the symposium now formally. And thank you.
Right. Hi, Prof. Sorry, I think you don't get it. For my role as a producer, I just have to stream, to do the streaming for the webinar. So I won't need to give any closing speech.
Okay. No, we just thought we had some comments, but it's okay, Fiona. No worries.
All right. Right. I think it's all good. We have about 239 at the end of the webinar session just now.
239 now. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, but
Fiona,
unfortunately,
we're not live anymore, right?
yes, we're off live.
Okay. All right.
Oh wait, I think your IT from Binary, I think you need to stop the live stream.
Video, is it?
Yeah.
Can we stop it?
I think on YouTube we're still live.
Oh, still live. You tell Uday to stop it? YouTube. Okay. Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
I hope he's not gone home. Uday.
We're still live.
Oh, still live. Stop it. YouTube. Okay. Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, Prof. I think it was nice meeting you.
Okay, nice meeting you. Hopefully one of these days we'll meet in person.
Certainly, looking forward for that day.
Yeah, so anytime that you're in this neck of the woods, or if I come to typing at that part, we'll check, we'll keep in touch.
Please do drop me a text, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and looking